Hello, everybody. Welcome into our latest live broadcast. It's Friday. It's the 19th of December, 2025. We're less than a week away from the big holiday, and it's going to be a record, well, maybe a new record heat day on Christmas for people in Phoenix. I know, get out your violets. We've never hit 80 degrees or above on Christmas Day, as far as I know, ever, except maybe this Thursday. We'll see what happens. Wish me luck. I think I'll get through it. I just have to put the ice skates away for a while. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can see, we've got an HP laptop and a mouse that's included in this purchase bundle, and we're going to talk about that, review it today. I don't see many HP laptops, so it was a unique opportunity for me to take a look. We've had some HP products that we really liked and some HP products that we haven't. Which one will this be? We're going to find out together. This is sealed. I've never opened it before, so we're going to have a first-time experience together. This is Intel-based, and we'll get into those details here shortly. Let me say hello to everybody. In fact, I'm going to need some glasses to see the chat room over here. Let's see. Oh, it's over here. Just kidding. All right. That would be pretty bad, wouldn't it? Let's see. We've got... ILD saying hello. Jonathan Fell says hello. There's our Jarpa saying hello, and John Williams, Sean Skinner, and Eddie Casanova, Luke Greenia, Jim Kenny, and David Graham. They're in the chat room saying hello. Of course, our channel administrator, Mara, is hanging out in there with you guys, along with Nick Poverman and Mark Gaines. And I also see Nipper saying hello, and Katrina H. joins us. Mark Leibowitz from Chicago runs a computer repair shop. He joins us here in our chat room as well. I see 3D Everything. I see John Paul Bacon. I see our friend Buster in the chat room saying hello, Carey and Mara and everyone in the chat. Temperature in Edinburgh, Scotland is 44 degrees Fahrenheit right now, or 6.6 Celsius. Buster, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the Amazon gift card in lieu of Super Chat. We did get that a little earlier. And as always, our most heartfelt thank you, and we hope you're doing well. Always good to see you, my friend. John Rogers says hello. 3D Everything renews membership. Now a member for 43 months. Nice. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the members in green supporting the channel. And that's basically the only income this channel has at this point. Just so to keep you updated, YouTube AdSense revenue is just about diminished to loose change, basically. So for that reason, in order for us to keep going, we rely on our members that support us here, and we can't thank them enough. Without our members, I don't know that the channel would still exist, or, you know, if I wouldn't be making just 1 or 2 videos a month just for fun. But to be able to do this full time is enabled by all those friends you see in green there. For them, I am eternally grateful. And Charlie Dompler there in the chat says hello. Glenn Rose joins us, as well as Doman 2000. And I'm looking to see if I'm missing anybody. Kind of skipped ahead. Oh, there's Andy saying hello. And I want to give a shout out also to our friends over at VIP-URCDKEys. That's where I go to buy my product keys. When I need a Windows activation, this is where I get my keys, because I can't mess around. When you have clients that are lawyers, when you have clients that have legal regulations they have to abide by, and they hire you to take care of that work, there's 2 things they're looking for. 1 is legal compliance to pass an audit, and 2, they're not going to pay a lot of money. So how do you meet those 2 requirements as a managed service provider the way that I do it? Well, I scour the internet looking for legitimate keys for sale. I was working initially with key sellers that only worked with manufacturers, and the times have changed now. And it turns out a lot of the key sellers that I used to work with are not selling valid keys, and are not standing behind them, and they're charging 3 to 4 times more money, which is still less than half of what Microsoft wants. So when I found VIP-URCDKEys and I went through a number of tests with them, not only are they cheaper, They stand behind the product for up to 6 months. You'll get your key via email once you pay for it within a couple minutes, along with instructions on how to download the software and install it. So it's all one-shot deal. There's no sketchiness to any of it. And if there was, I wouldn't be here telling you about it. This is not a commission based promotion. So basically, if you want to buy it, and if you don't. I'm paid the same either way. But if you want to know where I, as a professional computer technician, provide licenses to my clients that meet all the legal requirements without having to charge an arm and a leg, finding this site is not easy. There's so many key sellers out there, and most of them I would avoid. So if you want that peace of mind, we have the links for Microsoft Office and Microsoft Windows products in the video description below this video. And you get 25% off if you use the coupon code CAREY. If you don't want to use the coupon code, I mean, listen, the prices are still really good without the 25% off. I'm making an assumption you'd want the 25%, but maybe I'm wrong. But if you use the coupon code, you will save 25%. It's up to you. And everything else will be done in email with instructions, and it's really super easy to purchase, and they accept PayPal. So there you go. What more could you want? That's all I'm saying. So it's not fun for me to have to do that research and find a legit key seller online. It's a needle in a haystack. So most places that do what I do, they won't tell you where they source their license keys. In fact, if you went to a grocery store and asked where they got the groceries, who provides these groceries to you, who is your distributor, in most cases, they won't tell you. There's just certain industry secrets, and obviously it's not good for business. If they don't know who you are, you might be thinking of opening up a competing grocery store that specializes in, I don't know, whatever, vegetables, and you want to know where sourcing your vegetables from. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It's generally speaking, these are considered industry trade secrets, but I just kind of feel like it shouldn't have to be that way. There was a time when I had to buy 100 keys at a time, or I think the lowest I could buy, at one point it got down to 10, but I couldn't buy anything less than 10. Because they're assuming if you're a system seller, right, you're going to need multiple keys. If you're just a home user, you're going to buy one key. We may never hear from you again. So they didn't want to deal with the home users. They call too much with support. They don't know how to install. They don't know how to activate. They need all this hand-holding and coddling, and they're going to make the least amount of money possible from the customer that's going to cost them the most amount of time. So what's happened is it's attracted to scammers who will be happy to sell you something and then ghost you. The good news is there are key sellers out there. It's just, that are legit, that sell at a fair price and will stand behind you whether you buy 10 or you buy 1. But they are hard to find. So I've done that work for you, and don't feel in a hurry to go and buy a key. We're going to keep them here. If anything happens to them, we'll find someone else. We'll always have some sort of keys that my business has to buy keys, and I'm always going to share that information with my audience. Unlike most other places, they won't, just so you know. All right, with that out of the way, also in our video notes is the link for today's review product. This is an HP business laptop that for some reason comes with a gaming mouse. I'm a little confused. Maybe this makes working more fun. I don't know. But if we go over to the link provided, let's see, what did I do with it? It's in our video notes. So I'm going to go to the notes below this video, and right here it says, let's see. Here it is. The Amazon link here goes to this Amazon page, which I will pull up on the screen right there. Does that work? Yes, it does. All right, so what are we looking at right now? This is your most common size of laptop, somewhere between 15 and 16-inch screen size. It is a touch screen, and it is promoted as a business laptop computer. It's an Intel 10-core. It's the i7-1355U, which will crank up to 5 gigahertz frequency, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 2 terabyte SSD. Now, one of the things you got to remember as we enter into 2026 is there's a big RAM shortage, GPU shortage, and there's even speculated to be some serious storage drive shortages this year. Now, this isn't the end of the world. It's just that AI companies are buying up all the memory, which requires a lot of storage, and for their AI processing, they need a lot of GPUs. As a result, those three items are being sold off to the large AI companies as soon as they roll off the factory floor, that go right out of the manufacturer directly to the AI. They never find their way to a retailer because the AI company needs everything they can get their hands on as they're competing with other AI companies doing the same thing. And likely whoever builds out first is going to be the leader in the industry. In much the same way that Google is a leader in their industry, they did it by being very aggressive, and so did Amazon and anybody else that we use on a regular basis. The difference about what's going on right now is that due to the timing of it, if you're a home enthusiast, you want to build your own computer, it is going to get very cost prohibitive. In fact, it's already started. You see this 32 gigs of RAM right here? If we jump over here to Amazon, let's just go to Amazon, and if we want to look how much 32 gigs of just regular DDR5 memory is, like 2 sticks of 16, we're up over $400 in most cases. This one's pretty cheap at $350, but just a couple months ago, this was like $100, $140. And I've seen it, there's $500. These are really, I know you're gonna fall out of your chair. These are great prices right now. Those are extraordinarily cheap. And you're saying, but didn't you just say? Yes, I just said they were about 3 times cheaper a couple months ago. But next month, it's projected that's gonna continue to go up. By summertime, if this continues, which is expected throughout 2026, it probably won't even be available at any price other than scalpers, probably over $1,000 for what I just showed you. So if you can look into the future and you look at that price, that's a great price. What I want you to bear in mind is that when we talked about the Windows license keys and buying in bulk, companies like Dell and HP, Lenovo, when they're buying RAM, they're not buying it like a home user. You're not just getting 1 or 2. And they're not dealing with RMAs and customer support, the manufacturers that make that RAM. So as a manufacturer, if you are going to sell to Dell, you're going to sell them thousands of units on a regular basis, probably a couple of pallets worth of RAM alone, just every couple weeks in order to keep up with their production. So when the price of RAM goes up for Dell or HP or Lenovo, it's going up in a scale, which, how can I explain this? It's like you shop at Costco where you're doing a bulk purchase. The price per unit is cheaper depending on the size. Economy of scale. So you will always be able, throughout 2026, no matter how much RAM costs or how much graphics cards cost, you will still be able to buy a Dell, an HP, Lenovo, any of the big brands. They'll be slightly more, but they won't double and triple in price the way it will for you at home, because they have the advantage of the amount that they continually buy endlessly and have been doing it for decades. They have relationships with the manufacturers that, well, the price will go up a little bit. It won't go up as it would for an individual consumer. So if you want a new computer in 2026 and you're willing to pay the extra money to build it yourself, be prepared. If you want a new computer in 2026, but you don't want to pay the extra, the outrageous prices, look for something pre-built like this. And, if that RAM is $400 and this laptop, let's take another look at the price on this laptop. Let's go back over to this page here, $899. Now, I understand laptop RAM and desktop RAM with RGB are similar but priced a bit differently, but nonetheless, work with me here. If you subtract that $400 for the price of the RAM, suddenly this is a $499 laptop, just with that one change. Then you've got the 2 terabyte storage. I mean, at some point, you're going to realize you can't come close to this with the monitor, the speakers, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, the power supply, the web camera. You can't even get close to building your own. Not to mention it has a battery, a warranty that's all through one company, not a warranty from the motherboard maker, a power supply maker, right? If you build it yourself, you've got all these different warranties theoretically through all the different companies that make your components, and you're going to pay a lot more for it. So there's never been a better time to look and be aware of pre-built value. Now, that being said, if you just insist on building your own and you don't have the money, the used market is there, but people will be getting a lot more for their used stuff. Or just continue to use what you have until the end of 2026. Somewhere around 2027, things should level back out again. It's not forever. This isn't permanent. It's just a temporary phase that we're going through, or a fad, due to the AI companies ramping up. Many of these AI companies aren't going to ramp up fast enough or will run out of money. When that happens, other AI companies will buy those assets, reducing the load on the manufacturers. And as they work their way up, there's a certain amount of growth that's going to happen quickly, and then it'll kind of level off, and the growth will be more steady, and then supply and demand should return back to normal. That is projected, is my understanding, to be about the next 18 months. So it's temporary. Be grateful for what you have instead of being upset about what you don't have. That's the best advice I can give you. If you have extra, see it as an opportunity to sell that extra, and then you can end up with a free computer. If you've got, extra RAM laying around you're not using, if you hold on to it and list it for sale by the summertime, that may be its peak price, or you may be the only one who's got it, right? It may be a situation of unavailable, out of stock, and then there's you offering your price. So the idea is that rather than complain about it being a victim, you find a way to work within that. It's a lot easier on everybody. It's easier on you, and you can take advantage of it and just postpone your upgrade until after this passes. Maybe I want to go out and get a suntan. It's wintertime. I'm going to have to wait till the summer if that's what I want to do, is go outside and tan in the sun. I can't control the spinning of the earth and its rotation to the sun. I'm telling you, that's just the way it is, and I can't change it, but I can change my attitude. And instead of saying, woe is me, I can say, aren't I lucky? Because there's things I can do in the wintertime that I should be focused on right now. So as this rampocalypse hits, so what? So what? It's temporary. If this is the biggest trouble you've got in your life, you want to trade places? So all I can tell you is be prepared. If you think it's expensive now, just wait, and you'll wish you could go back to now to buy it. All right? And never, and this is the whole point of this, has there been a better time? Never has there been a better time than to get something pre-built. And generally speaking, laptops are always going to be pre-built. Exceptions here or there, but when they're pre-built, you're going to save a lot of money. All right, so for all those reasons, throughout 2026, we're probably going to look at a lot more pre-builts. That includes mini PCs, laptops, and their prices will be affected. So were cell phones, anything that uses RAM, the prices are going to go up, but not to the extreme I'm showing you. That RAM for computers for consumers is the thing that's going up drastically in retail. But when Samsung is building their new phones, yes, they're going to pay more for the RAM, but it's only going to add a little bit more to the price of the phone. It's not like they're completely sold out of it. It's not like the pandemic where you couldn't get it at all. All right, so I just want you to be prepared for what's coming. I don't want you to feel blindsided. I want you to prepare for how you expect to handle this scenario. And then before you know it, I'll be standing here telling you it's January, March of 2027, and we'll be talking about how available RAM is. And you'll look back on it and be like, it wasn't that bad. It's one thing to look back on it. It's another thing to be in it. But I'm telling you, before you know it, you'll be looking back on it. It's really not that big of a deal. Any company that needs RAM, it's a minor expense for companies. If a client calls me and says they need a new computer and they're going to pay $400 for RAM, they don't care. Honestly, it doesn't matter, because that company's going to make, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from that computer. Without the computer, they can't be that productive. They won't make as much money. So an extra $400 to a big company means nothing. It's literally nothing. So I'm not worried about my business. On the consumer side of things, it was never really my business to rely on consumers. They're too fickle. They often require too much support, too much hand-holding. They call every single time they don't understand something and expect free tutoring. We don't generally get that from businesses, and businesses don't bicker about the bill usually. They pay quickly, and they need services regularly versus a person who waits until everything is just, they had a problem, they ignored it, now the computer won't work at all. Now they're in a panic, they're stressed out. It's stressing me out. They don't want to pay a lot of money. They want it done yesterday. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't turned any consumers away, but if they're not calling because of that, I'm okay with it, because that was always sort of if time permits, if I'm available, I'll help a consumer. But it was never a regular source of income I could depend on. And usually the after sales service and support was a financial loss for me. It's pretty rare that I could help an end user consumer and then they would call me again and want to pay me again anytime in the next 12 months. Pretty rare. They'd be more likely to call me again even after 12 months to continue to ask for free support. So again, in general, business work doesn't do that. Business has a lot more funding and a lot more at risk. It's not a whim, it's a requirement, and they do whatever has to get done. So that's not going to change. Nothing on the business side changes. This is just for hobbyists and enthusiasts. So that's all, great that you can have your hobby, but it's not critical. And if you do feel otherwise, you'll just pay for it the same as businesses do. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not my decision to make, but it's just an attitude I'm sharing with you that when you really think about it, it makes sense. And if you were running a business, I think you would understand that you got to go where the money is. If a company called me up and said, Carey, we'll buy everything you have in inventory plus everything you're going to get in inventory for the next few months. So we don't want you selling to consumers anymore. We want you to sell directly to us. We'll take it right off the factory floor. We'll pay you, no problems, no bickering on the price, no scamming you, no endless phone calls for support. We can pretty much guarantee that. How stupid would I be to tell them no? No, let me sit here and suffer and make pennies. Any business with any common sense is going to say yes to these AI companies who want to buy every bit of inventory. It's much more profitable and fewer expenses. So again, once the AI companies build out, then things will return to normal. So again, just temporary. All right. Maybe it's not all right, but that's the way it is. What do you want me to do? I'm not the one who decided it. So you can't change it. You can accept it. And better yet, figure out a way to make it work to your advantage. Think about it. All right, let me take a quick look in the chat before we get started with our unboxing here. Oh yes, Buster sent a little daily calendar of 365 days of cats. I said, this must be for Mara. She's got it up on the desk. Thank you for sending that, Buster. That was very thoughtful. She loves cats. TechSmart Computer says, hello, welcome in. Welcome in. Andy mentions the Beijing 1 terabyte SSDs have doubled in price in 5 months. Yeah, it's going to get worse. I mean, you might as well complain it's been raining for 5 days or whatever. Like, you can't control it. It's just figure out how to make that work for you, or wait for it to clear up before you go outside if it's that bad. But, you know, complaining about it won't change anything. I guess it might make you feel better. I don't know how. But Mark Leibowitz said he was at Micro Center yesterday and the off-the-shelf PCs were priced to sell fast, probably because they ordered before the RAM shortage. RAM by itself was in locked cases and priced into the stratosphere. Yep. But that's everywhere. And it's not just you. It's not just we're out to get Mark Leibowitz, and he knows that. But for everybody else out there, it's affecting us all. It's not just you. And we're all figuring it out, how to deal with it. We hope you will join us in that instead of just stand there and, you know, you're not a victim. Nobody owes you any RAM. You have no right to buy RAM. It's not like a birth-born right that I should be able to buy RAM because that's in the amendment Constitution of the United States. It isn't. So let's be grateful for what we have and know that it's temporary, and we've been through more challenging things in life than this. Best advice I can give you, it's not a big deal. No matter how much you want to say it is, it doesn't make it a big deal. It isn't a big deal. Scott joins us and says hello. Sam Lazar says, most of my clients are home users. I only have a few rare times they question my invoices. Yeah, well, you're also in another country, so there's a different culture. And I'm jealous of that. I wish that was the case. What I share with you about consumers is based on my experience, based on where I live in the culture in the area that I live at. And there's just a lot of entitlement. It's been getting worse and worse. And I'm just reacting to it. It's not like I woke up one day and was in a sour mood. It's that working with those individuals has resulted in this reaction from me where I would rather not deal with them anymore. It's not worth it to me. And if you're not in that position, I think you're in Australia or something. Yeah, I wish, because then I wouldn't respond the way that I do to it. But I mean, every time I go outside, somebody tries to rob me. But every time you go outside, people hand you flowers. We live in two different places, and our reaction to going outside or avoiding people is going to be based on the experiences we have. I'm not saying it's the way I want it. It's just the way it is, and I deal with it, right? Just like with the Rams. So what? It is what it is. We deal with it. Let's see. Paul Connolly, also in Australia. The AI bubble will eventually burst. That's right. It will. Dante Charles says, thank you, Uncle Carey. Great knowledge. We've been through this so many times before in this industry. It's all, as I get older, it's like, here we go again. It's the graphics card. You can't get a GPU because of all the cryptocurrency mining. Oh, we can't get any parts because of supply chain issues during the pandemic and the closed factory. Like, I'm so bored of the same thing over and over. And then people respond like it's never happened before. It's like panic city. What are we going to do? It's really having trouble finding food and warmth and shelter. No, just the RAM thing. I think we've forgotten what it is to survive. When you've got food and shelter and warmth and security, safety, and your biggest problem is RAM prices are up, listen to yourself. All right, gratitude. All I'm saying, never been a better time to find some. Let's take a look at this HP. So I was just showing you the website, the Amazon page rather, for this product. And let me bring that back up onto the screen. Here we go. Now, if I look here, it says $900, and I could get it tomorrow from where I am living. They've got a number of different configs. This is 32 gigs and 2 terabytes. It's sold by the HP store. and it's on sale right now at 25% off. It has a touch screen screen on it, webcam, the Intel Iris Xe internal graphics, Wi-Fi 6, and Windows 11 Professional. And a gaming mouse. I don't know why this has a gaming mouse, but you get a gaming mouse whether you like it or not, at no additional cost. And it does say best for professional use. So in other words, anything but gaming. You could do some gaming on it depending on the games, but that's not what they're promoting it for. And then apparently in the promo they're showing gaming. So what are you gonna do? I think for most users this is more than enough power, and the fact that it's already spec'd with the large amount of RAM and storage means it should be good for the life of the laptop. There should be no reason to need to upgrade this. Rather, that there would be a reason to replace it at that point, just because it'll probably be 8 or 10 years old by the time you would, if you would ever feel like you need more RAM or storage, you've outgrown it. And that likely won't happen for many years long outside of warranty. So that's my take on that. And of course, if you wanted to spend 3 times more, you could get a laptop that's more upgradable and more powerful for gaming. Or you could have this one for 10 years, buy another one at the same price, have that one for 10 years, and then when you outgrow that one, buy another one for the same price. Each one having more RAM and more storage and latest Wi-Fi and new warranty. At the same cost, you could be set for 30 years on a computer with a warranty that's at least a year on each one of those for a total of 3 years. Or you could drop $2,700, $3,000 on a gaming laptop, still have the 1-year warranty, and still only get 10 years out of it. Which would you rather have? 3 for the price of 1, or 1 really expensive one that's only going to last a third as long? So these are things to consider. Don't buy it like you're never going to buy another one. How long do you think you're going to keep a computer? Why throw so much money into something you know at a maximum you're probably only going to have 10 years? Certainly not more than 12. And your battery's going to be long shot by then anyway. So it doesn't really make any sense to have the old school mentality of just kind of nickel and diming it and keeping it alive. Not today, not with the advancements are so rapid with the technology. The storage, the RAMs will be up to DDR6, PCIe. They're working on PCIe 7 at this point, and 6 isn't even out yet. Things are rapidly ramping up, and your machine's going to feel slower and slower, sooner and sooner than older machines did. And in order, if you want to keep up, the best, most efficient, cost-effective way will be after about 8 years, 6, probably starting at about year 6. For many people, it'll be time to replace it. And when we talk about warranty, battery, screen quality, processor speed, cores, all that stuff, in 6 years, you just wait and see how it changes. Now, this machine may be good for some people for 10 years, maybe even 12 years if you're using it for basic things. However, I wouldn't consider that normal, but certainly possible. And Mara says we have an email. All right, so let me take a look at our emails and see what we got. Oh, our friend Mark Gaines with an Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat here. He says, I hope you enjoy this gift card. My contribution in lieu of super chat for $25. Thank you, as always, to our friend Mark Gaines there in Northern Ireland. You guys rock. Are we ready for our unboxing? Now, it's, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen an HP computer. I've seen them where they're good, and I recommend them, and I see them where they're terrible, and I don't. Which one is this going to be? I'm hopeful I'm going to recommend this, because if I knew right out of the gate I wouldn't even be bothered to make the video. So that's your first clue. But without having hands-on with it until just now when we're live, unedited and unscripted, I don't know. I hope I'm right, but that's the way these videos go. We're going to find out together. Is there a model on this? What was it called? Just HP 15.6-inch touchscreen business laptop computer. See a model on it. Okay. Here we go. Inside, you can see this is how they've packed it. So I like there's minimal packaging here. Let's go ahead and slide this guy out of here. Oh, that's interesting. Have a little extra cushion there. You know, there's nothing worse than anticipating something you've ordered through the mail and it finally arrives and it's broken. So with packing like that, I would imagine that the odds of that arriving broken are going to be slim to none. That's really good. So we're off to a good start, at least. Like I said, there's not a lot of, hold on a second, I think there's some documentation. It's not the packing of the old days where this table would just be filled with all kinds of paper and styrofoam and plastic. Oh man, let's hope those days don't come back. What a waste. All right, and then we've got this box right here, which looks like something slid out. Ah, power cable. So HP likes to use these cloverleaf or Mickey Mouse style power cables, quite often found on, when you know, laptop power bricks, and so they're consistent there. And then this will be our, thought this was white. I'm like, what's going on? Look at how weird that is. Look how little it is. Really? Would you look at that? How's that a thing? How is that little tiny thing going to power this thing? Now, it doesn't say HP on it, so I would get a silver Sharpie or something, and because this is going to have a barrel style power connector, not USB-C, unfortunately. And what that means is this only will work with certain equipment. And if you plug, like if this adapter gets misplaced or you find it and you start plugging it in to guess where it belongs, you're probably going to burn up a lot of things that it doesn't belong to. So it's very, very important that you know where this adapter belongs should it get separated from the laptop. But I don't recall ever seeing one this tiny. I mean, that is, I mean, compare it to the mouse here. Look how little that is. All right, so we've got some like getting started quick documentation. It looks like it's an envelope, and in the envelope, yeah, there's the documentation right there. So that's everything in the box. Let's go ahead and just put this stuff back and clear the desk so that I can open this bad boy up. And there goes some of the box. Fire that up. Yeah, I think that little square box could use a little bottom to keep it from, you know, having stuff slide out. Like this cable here, I've got a much longer one that I will use. But let's start by just overall, we'll take a quick look. We have a USB-A in our power barrel adapter there. We have a USB-C and HDMI out, a USB-A, headphone, headset jack there. And that's pretty much it. There is no network adapter on here because they're so thin. The network adapter is thicker. The plug is thicker than the laptop. So if you needed a hardwire, you would just get a, you've seen me use these, one of these like USB type A or type C to Ethernet adapters. But it's really a portable device, so it should be on Wi-Fi. That's what it's really, any laptop wired in probably should be a desktop, but what do I know? It's a little slightly different color here on the bottom. And we have a little bit of a build quality issue here. If you notice, when we look at the back, and this is how it came out of the box, we have a little bump here. So my guess is maybe somebody opened this and replaced the RAM and storage, and when they put it back together, they didn't snap it down. Let's see. No? Let me take it back over to the bench and try over there. That's it's a little bit concerning, only because that's, well, the battery shouldn't be back there. A swollen battery. Ooh, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. So maybe before we turn this on, we find out what's going on. Now, if it were me and I had paid for this, it does just look like a simple clip, but it doesn't want to go in. So if it were me, and this is how it arrived, ordering it from Amazon, I would just return it and ask for an exchange. Sometimes Amazon will go ahead and forward the exchange to you and say, if we don't get the old one back, we're going to charge you for the second one. But as long as you send the new one back, or the original one back within a certain period of time, then that way you can expedite how quickly you can get a replacement. Because if I paid with undamaged money for an undamaged item, I would not try to fix this myself, because you could void your own warranty if you do it. So just be patient, put everything back in the box the way you got it, go back to Amazon, you have a full 30 days. In fact, right now you've got 30 days after Christmas. So you've got till basically February 1st for any returns in case you wanted to give it as a gift and you didn't realize that it was damaged until Christmas Day, or whatever the holiday was. So during this time of year, Amazon starts allowing returns basically 30 days after Christmas. So anything that's purchased from right around Black Friday, that starts right around that period of time. Now, this probably has no effect on the laptop other than it'd be like buying a car with a dent in it. Like, I'm sure the car will run fine, but I just bought a car. I'm not pulling the dent. I'm going to return it and say, this has to get fixed or replaced. So let me get a little screwdriver set out here. And we want to open this up and take a look inside anyway, just to see what's in there. And yeah, I noticed this little bubble, this little sort of raised area when I took it out immediately. And that is not normal. But it's not about a mistake a company makes. It's really about how they respond to it. And at this point, we'd only be dealing with Amazon, and we already know their customer service is fantastic, and this would be no big deal to exchange out for another one. And the likelihood of getting another one like that would be extraordinarily unlikely. But do make sure when you get a brand new piece of equipment that you inspect it before you turn it on. I don't want you to get too attached to it and then not want to send it back. So before you get to know each other, make sure there's nothing you need to be aware of that is going to be a red flag about, what the future is going to look like. If we started out on the wrong foot, it's not a journey you want to take very long. So maybe don't even start the journey. Now, it looks like we've got 4 screws here, 2 in the back, 2 up front. And unless there's something I'm missing, I mean, that seems like very few screws. I can also see this end here. Once again, I'll bring it up to the camera and show you. Whoever had this apart did not put it back together correctly. You see here. Now, to take this apart, this is actually an advantage, because sometimes getting into the seam to separate the back from the rest of the machine is the challenge. So if that's pre-done for us, it's like pre-cracked. But I'm guessing this machine did not come with 2 terabytes of storage and 32 gigs. I think it was upgraded. Whoever did this upgrade at whatever factory it was done, well, they wouldn't be working for me if you can't pay attention to the detail on a $900 on sale item. Then you would not be a good fit for that position. You really need somebody with a real keen eye for detail to do this kind of work. Now, I do feel like something is still holding us in, and I'm afraid there might be some screws underneath these rubber feet, which I would prefer not having to remove any rubber feet if I don't have to. But given that I've never disassembled one of these before, I'm just not confident on how it comes apart, because I do feel like something right here is holding us in. And it also looks like maybe the back comes out last, like maybe the front lifts up, because I'm seeing like an L-shaped bracket, and if I lift straight up on it, I will break those brackets. In theory, that could void your warranty or any ability to return it, which is why you should never try to fix anything brand new. Instead, go through the process of a return and either buy something else or just ask for an exchange. Like for me, I don't see anything wrong with this laptop where I would want it to return it, but I would definitely want to exchange it for another one and try again. I think we just got a bad luck of the draw. Okay, so there are clips, as you can see, as I'm separating this, and a spudging tool would probably be helpful here. But as I'm popping the front of it, I can see the clips go up against the inside of the laptop, and using a spudging tool could probably make this a little easier on me. Let's see how lucky I can get here. If you get the angles right, it should come out without the need of a special tool. However, if you want to be extra cautious about it, or if you're doing professional work on other people's equipment, you should do it the right way and use the right tools, because doing it the way I'm doing it can result in a broken plastic tab that keeps the lid, or the bottom lid here, seated firmly. And I do believe they just didn't reseat all of these clips, and they are pretty tight. So let me look back in the drawer. I know I have a spudger, a guitar pick, a credit card, anything can work that's sort of plastic or nylon that you can fit into the seam and just sort of push away from. When you notice the edges where the clips are, if these clips are latching into this bottom piece, then you want to bend the bottom piece away so that the clip can be pulled away and then lift straight up, instead of popping the clip, which could crack the clip. So once we can see the clips, sometimes the clips are on the other side or face another direction, right? If the clips are on this side of it, then they're going to face inward, and we can break those pieces off equally. So once we can see which direction it needs to go, then we know which piece to sort of bend forward or backward. And if you use a metal tool for this, you will likely gouge into that plastic, leaving marks in your brand new laptop. And if that's not your laptop, if it belongs to a customer and the customer is like me and notices it, they're going to expect you to pay for some damages. So it's not always, super profitable to do computer work if you don't have the right tools and you're not willing to accept responsibility. So you notice I'm putting some pressure on the lid, not too much, and then I put the spudger in and I start moving the plastic, trying to see if it'll coax out. Now what's happening is I'm bending the heck out of this spudger tool. That's how tight these clips are. And our friends over at iFixit do make a heavy-duty spudger, but you've got to be very careful with it because you can gouge into the plastic with it. So when you use this tool, I would advise you to start on your own equipment so you can learn how easy it is to put dings and scratches and cause damage. And that way, once you understand the feel of it before you start working on other people's equipment, you'll definitely have a happier customer and you'll be a happier tech because of that. So I am still struggling to get this off of here. And apparently whoever put it back on struggled to get it back on. But it's something you need to check for before you put the screws back in. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling this lid this way to get these L-shaped brackets pushed away from what they're connected under, while lifting and hoping. There it goes. And now, because I've done that, I have two angles here to try and figure out what the heck is holding me in right around here. There's clearly no screws here. Oh, just was the position of the clip. So that removes the bottom panel. Now, for somebody who's never opened one of these up before, that wasn't too terrible. It also wasn't super easy. Patience is key. And I can tell you confident we haven't gouged or damaged the plastic in any way. And it helps to have the right amount of pressure, to know when you're doing too much, and to have the right tools. Now, inside of this laptop, what we've got, let's bring it up to the camera for a nice close-up. We've got our battery here. You see the Wi-Fi card right there. This right here is a speaker. That's obviously a cooler. Our RAM has these little heat covers on it. It does look like someone has opened and replaced it. And what RAM is in here, you want to know? This has ADATA, DDR4. That right back. Like that. Make sure I'm seated. It should just snap in. And then we have an NVMe drive right there. Which, if I turn it this way, it's a Western Digital Blue. So these are not the Western Digital Black high performance drives, but that also means they don't run as hot. And I think that's pretty much all there is. I don't see anywhere for a second NVMe drive. It looks like it's only going to hold one NVMe drive. I don't see. Nope. So left speaker, right speaker, battery, RAM, storage, motherboard, cooler. So overall, pretty straightforward and easy to get into. Well, easy enough. If you wanted to get in and upgrade it, you could. But the way that this one is already spec'd out, I would strongly recommend that you're probably set for the life of the laptop with 2 terabytes of storage and this RAM. Okay, now let me try and put this back together the way it should have been put back together to begin with. And I think the back goes in first, so those little L-shaped brackets can go in. And I think maybe that's where they kind of had an oversight here, is if we look at these brackets, they, well, let me just bring it up close to the camera again and I'll show you. They have a very sharp angle. And I'm looking, well, for example, how come I can't find them? Yeah, you see this right where my finger is. See what I'm saying? Like that's pretty significant. It's not like a little tab. It's a big L-shaped hook. And those usually, if you see those usually have to go in first, at least if you want to make your life easier, because then there's going to be these little tabs that stick out that the hook is going to go underneath. And if you're just pushing down, then you're pushing the hook on top of the tab and it won't go. And then you end up with this big bubble, right? And you have a bottom that won't sit flat. And it won't just not sit flat there. It won't sit flat as we saw over on this other side. So we want to just double check as we're putting it together and make sure we get one side in first. Don't worry about the front or the sides. Just get that back in there first. And you see I have the same bubble right here. And then the other problem is if that bubble sits for a long time, it deforms the plastic. And then it can be very difficult to work against that and try and get it to go back to how it was. Okay, so just to give you an example, by just putting the back on, focusing one side at a time, you make sure before you go any further that your seam is completely even. Once you've done one side, and this would probably be the hardest side to do, everything else you probably just push down and you'll hear it click, and you'll focus again on one side. So we'll go over here, click, 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 click. And you can either do the other side right now, or you can just work your way around. There's really no right or wrong here. I'm going to go the other side. Click, 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 click. Now again, I'm going to stop and I'm going to inspect my seams. I'm going to make sure I have a complete seam here. I want to make sure nothing came out of position back here. It shouldn't have because it locked in first. Then I check this seam, make sure everything looks right. And finally, I can finish on this seam and just same thing. Start working my way across. Click, 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 click. The corners can be a little tricky. And now that back is on correctly and the screws can go back in. Now I realize you say, well, that's not a big deal. I don't know if it's worth sending it back for that. Yes, absolutely, you would send it back for that. Again, you don't want to void your warranty. And just because I was successful doing it doesn't mean you will be. Once you see that little piece of plastic flick off, your warranty status is now under question because you just broke it, they didn't. You understand? And you might say, well, I'll just live with it. So you took a brand new machine, you're too impatient to return it to get a proper one, you're going to fix it yourself, and before you've ever turned it on for the first time, you've already made it so the seam here won't seal because you allowed the plastic clip to break off because you wouldn't want to return it. Look, that's your decision to make. I wouldn't spend $900 plus sales tax and then wait for it to arrive and then turn around and have to work on it. I get paid to work on things. I'm not working for free, especially when I'm not paying to work either. That's insane. So you do what you want, but I'm just giving you the best advice I can. Send it back while you're still under your 30 days. Don't hesitate. The sooner you get it sent back, the sooner you'll get your replacement. Or they might just do a cross-shipping exchange. So yeah, now everything looks good here, I think. Yeah. Yep, perfect, much better. Now we can fire it up. Let's make sure it even works. So to do this, first of all, they usually keep a little protector here to keep the screen from smacking into the keyboard during shipping. I've seen some people keep these. I toss them. You know, eventually these keys oftentimes will make contact with the screen and will leave little marks, and that's just it's what happens when you use stuff. You know, that it'll start to wear a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Let's go ahead and apply power here. Now, usually when you get a laptop or something that has a battery, you want to wait 24 hours, or maybe not 24 hours, but you want to charge it up first before you use it. But because we're doing a live review, we're going to just go ahead and plug it in and turn it on. And Mara says we have another email. All right, well, let's get this plugged in, and we'll start it charging a little bit before we turn it on while I check your emails. And where is, I have power cable. I think I'm standing on it. So I often, use one of 3 different power cables on any computer review we do. This is Cloverleaf, is a pretty popular one for laptops and mini PCs. And we'll plug that in. There's probably a light that comes on to give us an indication of charge. There is, which is glowing orange right now, right next to the plug. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. And we would want to wait, in a best case scenario, you want to wait until that light either goes off or turns blue or green. That indicates a full charge. If you want the best long-term battery life, I strongly recommend you let it charge up first before you turn it on. And that's for anything that takes a battery, even if you bought a new cell phone. We see we've got a web camera up here, and there is a shutter, a privacy shutter that you can slide back and forth with your finger that can close, basically put a lens cover on it. So you don't have to worry about anybody turning your web camera on when you're not aware. Just keep the shutter closed, and it's just like taking pictures with your camera without removing the lens cover. You get nothing. All right, so while that's charging, let's take a look at messages. Oh, Robert Barnes, our friend Bob R, sends an Amazon gift card, and a generous one at that. He says, "Merry Christmas to you and Mara. This channel and community are the best." That's Mr. B, 508 in the chat room. Thank you, Mr. B. Right on. Well, we appreciate you very, very much. Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. So while it just sits for a minute, I just want to get a little bit more of a charge on it. I'm going to stall a little bit here. And I'm still puzzled by the gaming mouse. This is definitely a different gaming mouse than what's shown in the photo. So I don't know if they ran out and this is a substitute, or if this is the new, from now on, this is what everybody gets. It's not really that important to me because I don't have any problem with the trackpad. This is a Ghost Manta that's made by, I don't know. It has RGB on it, which is weird. There's no RGB on anything else. This really feels like it's mismatched to this laptop. Is it wireless or wired? Here's the other thing. I do not like a wired mouse. I don't mind a wired keyboard. It just mostly sits in one place. But a mouse is intended to be moved around, and inevitably you tangle up the cord, it gets in the way, or it gets caught up behind the desk, and then you can't move the mouse more than a few inches without it, being taut onto the cable. So I kind of feel like the days of wired mice are gone. But at the same time, if I'm running on batteries, the last thing I want is LEDs on my mouse, because it's just going to drain my batteries faster, and my hand is going to cover up the LED. Who is this for? I don't get it. It's one of the biggest scams against consumers, and the fact that consumers buy it I just find the whole thing illogical. But to each their own. Everybody's got their own values here. I suspect this is going to be wired, but let's find out. Yeah, it's a wired mouse. Pretty big one at that. That's bigger than the power brick. I guess this is for people with big hands. It's comfortable. Buttons are kind of... the left and right buttons are fine, but these side buttons here, these feel like, I don't know, they rattle, they're loose. Scroller wheel feels good, but I don't think it has two modes. I think it's gonna have a clicking mode. The more expensive, nicer mice like from Logitech, they can do a smooth scroll, or they can do a clicking scroll, and then there's usually a button to change that. So until I plug this in, I don't know, but I don't like that it's RGB. I don't like how big it is. I don't like the feel of the buttons, and I don't like that it's wired. So wired RGB, but it does come at no additional expense. So maybe you can use it to, on any other computer around the house, or re-gift it during Christmas. And just in case you don't know how to use a mouse, there's some instructions. So again, that seems like an odd throw-in thing. It's not like we were buying a box of cereal for kids. I don't know, again, why they throw an RGB gaming mouse into a laptop that's clearly designed for business. I guess you're not paying any extra for it, but it's just weird. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and turn this on. Where is the power button? Escape, functions. Oh, right here. I'm used to the power button being at one corner or the other. For some reason, they put the power button above the backspace key, which is right up here, which is For me, not an ideal location. I hit backspace a lot. I wouldn't want to accidentally hit that power button. Not a fan of that location. I would much rather it was above the rest of the keys on either side or on the side of the laptop. But on most laptops, it's like in this corner right up here, above the keyboard. If it was going to be in line with the keyboard, it would be at one far end or the other. Stick it in the middle between essentially the print screen, delete key, and backspace key. That's that may be the worst thing so far that I've seen on the laptop that I don't like. Everything else so far has been acceptable, especially at this price point for this amount of power, storage, and RAM. And you know, I'm not intentionally trying to pick on HP. I'm just being genuine and honest about my concerns based on my experience and working with other manufacturers and other laptops. I don't recall ever seeing a power button located between other buttons you would be pressing regularly where you could so easily accidentally press it and maybe start shutting the computer down. Even if it's saving your work, it's still, you got to wait for it to finish and then you hit it again, bring it back up, and it's a big interruption. There may be a way to disable it in Windows, or I don't know, but it's just something I don't deal with, right? And the fact that I would have to deal with that on this machine may be a deal killer for me personally, so just something for you to keep in mind where this laptop is different than others. All right, so we got our out-of-box experience here, and I should be able to hook this up to HDMI on this capture computer. So let's try that and see if we got video output. Then that way I won't have to turn it around to show you, because when you're seeing it like that, I can't, right? Obviously, if I turn it this way, I can't see it. So let's plug in HDMI. I'm glad it has an HDMI port. Some laptops these days don't come with them anymore. Or you get a USB-C port, and you have to break it into like a docking station or a breakout box, which is give you like USB Type A, another Type C, HDMI out. It's the dongle. It's like one more thing you can forget, one more thing you've got to attach. Then you attach something else to that, and before you know it, you just got this hodgepodge of mismatched parts all connected together, and it makes it discouraging to travel with or to use. So I appreciate that we have both Type C and Type A, so I can plug straight into the laptop without any dongles. And you can still put dongles on it if you want to. It's not like I couldn't add a USB-C dongle and break it out. But on some laptops, you have to. Okay, there is our screen. Let's see. Let me go full screen over here. Screen. There, okay, now I can see. So United States, US keyboard, no other language keyboard. We do not want to connect to the internet at this time. And as you can see, we don't have the option to create a local account here. So it's telling us you have to have an internet connection first. Now, if you're a technician or you're somebody who is very technically savvy, you know as well as I do, this is smoke and mirrors. If I hit Shift and F10, despite what you've been hearing online from other content creators, the fact is the out-of-box experience has never stopped working. What they're complaining about are the betas that they're using. And in order to use a beta, you have to have a Microsoft account to get it legitimately. And they can't seem, these content creators can't seem to understand the concept of that. So I've explained this before. That's why when they say, hey, they've taken out this feature, it's because you're running a beta. Now, we'll see how that develops into the future, but the scream and cry about it now when it has never, ever happened in the history of Windows is a little premature at best. All right, so what was the command? We go OOBE wait a minute. Oh, I got to click on here first. Then I can type OOBE and then backslash bypass NRO. Is there anybody here who thinks that's not going to work because you've been watching other content creators telling you how that's not working anymore? Speak up now. All right. Maybe it isn't going to work. Maybe I'm out of the loop. Let's see what happens when I hit enter. Oh, what do you know? Still works. all the fear mongering and clickbaiting that some of you are falling for. Listen, we all fall for stuff. All I can tell you is, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's been proven. It's a brand new machine, the latest and greatest. That command has never not worked on any computer that we've ever looked at in the history of this channel. So for content creators to panic about the condition of a beta that they had to have a Microsoft account to acquire, that then requires the Microsoft account to log into, is part of Microsoft's beta test requirements. It's not necessarily what's being released to the public when the beta is done. Now, why no content creator can seem to get that through their head is probably because they're not very good beta testers, or they know exactly what they're doing and they're trying to get your click. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they have to do to get your click, if they lie to you, if they make up stories, even if they truly believe the stories they're making up, there's no punishment for them to do that. They only get rewarded if they're successful. If they're not successful, there's no punishment. It's like putting the shopping cart back when you're done shopping. If you leave your shopping cart in the middle of the parking lot, there's no punishment. And if you put your shopping cart back the way a normal, courteous, civilized adult would do, there's no reward. You just do the right thing. Unfortunately, doing the right thing doesn't get you rich too often in this world, and you have to understand why people make videos on this platform. All right, so we're going to go through this once more, only now when we get to the internet part, we should have the option to say that we don't have internet. Let's find out. I'll hit yes. I'm going to answer all these questions the same. We're going to get to this part, and now it says I don't have internet. We're going to click on that and accept the license agreement. And for this, we'll just create a username, user with no password, and log us into the desktop. At that point, I like to keep my location settings on. That'll keep our date and time always up to date. But everything else I prefer to turn off, and you can adjust it the way you like it. This is how I like it. And so the registration, well, it's recommended. Again, this isn't my laptop. I'm not going to register it. And I don't see a way to cancel out of it. So we just hit next. I'm going to uncheck all of this and hit next. Even though there was no red X to close, the default is just hit next and leave everything blank. And as you can see, that worked just fine. Most people don't read the screen. They just next, 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 next. These are the same people that'll complain they're being spied on. So what are you going to do? They're out there. They live among us. All right, this is just finishing up our setup, and will take us here to the desktop in just a moment. Now, while we're waiting, let me jump back over to camera one. Let me put myself in a corner so we can keep an eye on progress here. Once we get back up and run, or get to the desktop, then I'm going to plug it into the network. And in order to do that, I'm not going to put it on Wi-Fi because I'm making a live worldwide video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little USB to network adapter. They're $10, $15 on Amazon. They last forever. They don't expire. There's no subscription. So even if you use it once and stick it in a drawer, there's a good chance you'll need it again at some point for yourself or for a friend. It's just a great tool to have. I mean, I don't use wrenches every day, but I got a full set of them. Okay, so to me, it's just another tool. As you can see, this is the way the desktop arrives out of the box from HP. And if I look in my drawer here, I'm going to find, this is my regular USB type A to Ethernet adapter. We'll plug it in over here. And then I'll grab my Ethernet cable. And the order of this is critically important. If you want to follow through everything you've seen here the way I've shown it, you've got to do everything the way I've done it. Don't expect to get the same results otherwise. Now, once we plug this in, if we watch the lower right corner that my camera is currently covering up, let me get rid of the camera here for a second. We get it connected to the internet when this little monitor appears. And now we can go to Windows Update. Go to Settings and Windows Update and check for updates. I'm going to turn this feature on, and I'm going to turn this, and this on no differently than I do for any custom build mini PC, laptop, or any other computer that I'm evaluating. The other thing is I want to make sure the screen does not go to sleep on me while we're live, so I'm going to check my power settings. Edit power plan is what it says right there. And we'll make sure that when we're on battery, that's one thing, but when I'm plugged in, I want this thing to stay on and to never go to sleep. But on battery, that's a different story because, you know, we only have so much battery life. Now, the state of our charge, if we look down here, it says we're 81% full. And I think you can, click on this and then click on it down here. And we get a little bit more information. So it wants 20 more minutes before it's filled up. But I definitely would not be using this on the battery at all unless it was plugged in. And as you can see, we're already getting Windows 11 25H2 along with some driver updates here. So we're going to let that process and do its thing. And while it's working, let me jump back over to camera 1 full screen and see what questions or concerns you guys have. Because I've been focused here, now I can focus over there. And then when we're done over here, I can focus back over here. And let's see what's on your mind. Do I see McAfee? Yeah, the HP computers often come with McAfee, but you just go to your settings and uninstall it. It's no big deal. Of course, you could always just reinstall the operating system. That's also no big deal. If there's any BIOS updates, they should come in through Windows Update. We shouldn't have to go to HP and do that ourselves anymore. That's another advantage to buying a pre-built from a large manufacturer that works hand in hand with Microsoft as Dell, HP, and Lenovo. For example, they're not the only three, but they're the three big ones where that's pretty much guaranteed on all their machines, desktops, laptops, even minis. They will get automatic BIOS updates. If it's a fairly modern computer within the last 5-6 years, it should be happening automatically. So there's some advantages to getting these pre-builts, not just the pricing. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. Andy wants to know what the power supply voltage is. This is a 45 watt power supply. It does have the HP logo. I didn't notice it at first, but right there it's got the little tiny HP logo on it. 45 watt. And if I get my bigger glasses, the text on it is really, really small. So let's see what it says for, we know it's 120 volts. It probably auto switches, you know, to the European voltage, as most power supplies do in the last 25 years. Wow, I mean, it's so tiny. Maybe I can try taking a picture of it with my phone and then zooming that picture in. Made in Thailand. All right, I'll just bring the picture up to you and you can read it yourself. How about that? Except my camera just auto-rotated. Hold on, let me fix the rotation on it. Let's do an edit and rotate and save. Okay, let's try this again. That's tough, isn't it? Hopefully that answers your question. Typically, the smaller the adapter, the lower the wattage, and the bigger the adapter, the higher the wattage. Because of the equipment, that's the size of the equipment that has to put out higher amounts of power. We have a part number on here, which is good to see. It says it's 19.5 volts, 2.31 amps, and 45 watts. And the center post is positive, and that's everything we need to know. Everything else are regulatory statements for the UK, Canada, United States, UL listed. It goes on and on and on. There must be 25 different certifications for 17 different countries on there. But what do you expect from a company as big as HP, right? They want one design they can sell worldwide. So it meets regulations above and beyond what a lot of countries require in order to be 100% compatible with all countries. Appreciate the question, Andy. He says you're not going to plug much in that. Power is low. Well, you're only supposed to plug one thing into it. What else would you plug into it? It's a single plug, comes with the laptop, designed to be used for the laptop and nothing else. So to have anything more than that would be just charging you more money for no reason, because you wouldn't be able to use, regardless if this was a gaming laptop, whatever the adapter is that comes with the laptop is only designed to be used with that laptop, regardless of price or performance, and is not designed to be used with anything else. So I don't know what you're thinking with, like, you're not going to be using much else. Like, what are your options? As far as I know, like any other laptop, your options are zero regardless. So maybe you just want to spend more money and have bigger power supply that you're not using. You know, again, modern components don't require as much power. The LED bulbs that are in your house instead of incandescent bulbs cost a fraction of what incandescent bulbs cost in energy consumption. So, you know, the modern world is great, and these old ways of always needing more power is just simply not true anymore. The CPU is much lower power consumption because they want the battery life to last. If you don't care about your battery life, you know, then why buy a laptop? I'm just saying there's another side to this I don't think you're seeing or considering. Tell us about HP bloatware. Well, we'll check this out to see if there's any bloatware on it, but I don't see anything. Like the McAfee, one would argue, would be bloatware. Do you have any examples you'd like me to look for? Because apart from that, I think everything else will be HP registration for your warranty. HP probably utility software, which again is good for the maintenance of the laptop. I don't think that's bloat, not me personally. I don't see any large resource intensive programs that are both either memory or storage hungry. So can you give me an example of some HP bloatware you'd like me to look for? Because I don't think that's been a thing for like 10 years. I think people, again, were holding on to outdated ideas that you had an experience years ago, and you still have that PTSD and have not embraced what's going on today. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there's some bloatware you're aware of I'm not of, but you'd have to tell me, because I haven't seen bloatware in a decade. Doman 2000 said this must be 24H2 then. Well, I mean, if it's offering us 25H2, yes, but to the best of my knowledge, even 25H2 bypass NRO still works. So I don't, again, I'm not seeing what you were seeing. I've not encountered it. So if it's out there and it's happening, I've never seen it. I've only seen that on beta releases. Also, the bypass NRO is just a little script file. It makes a change to the registry and exits. If you wanted to, you could take the bypass NRO file off of your 24H2 and just copy it into 25H2 and then run it. There's nothing blocking it from running. If it's missing, you just put it back. I mean, again, people want to make a big deal out of something that I can't wrap my head around. Oh my gosh, you know, there's a step. Okay, well, lift your leg and step up. What is the big deal? Is that it's an impassable obstacle. I can't get past it. It's a step. Lift your leg. So if we ever experience it here, I would love to demonstrate it live, but I feel like we're living on two different worlds. I don't know what's going on. Now we are downloading right now, just to give you an update. What's happening here is the download for Windows 11 25H2 is taking place. And while we're waiting, if I just want to look at the system properties, just to make sure we're not on 23H2 or 22H2, we'll go over here to System, and we'll just verify that, the amount of RAM we're supposed to have is in there. And yeah, 32 gigs of RAM, 3200 speed, 1.82 terabytes, that's 2 terabytes of storage. The 13th gen, in case you were wondering what generation of CPU this was, is the i7-1355U. Version of Windows is 24H2. It is Windows 11 Pro and not Home. HP support information is also included here, which is a nice touch. When you manufacture it yourself, that information will be blank because you're your own support. And let's see, HP Jumpstart and McAfee. I don't know what HP Jumpstart is. Let's take a look and see if that's on here. Let's go to our menu and see if there's any unwanted software. Well, I can see one thing here that I don't want. That's this Adobe Offers. Omen Gaming Club, I don't want that. But I don't think these are bloatware. I think you right-click and choose uninstall, and I think it's just a little teeny tiny blip and it's gone. Yeah. So those are just little shortcuts. Oh, okay. So Dropbox promotion, that would be unwanted. But here's what I want to show you. Bloatware would take a while to uninstall. So when I click on something and it uninstalls quickly, like this Dropbox or Microsoft Family that comes with Windows, whether you like it or not, that's not HP specific, it comes off instantly. Anything tiny is not bloated. So we have the connection optimizer. I don't know what this is. Your documentation and your Energy Star, your diagnostics and your privacy settings, HP Smart and the support assistant, I would argue are added value to this laptop and not bloatware. None of these are particularly large, resource-hungry applications. And then, of course, McAfee, when we uninstall this one, this would be bloatware. This is what's going to take a while. This Office 365, this would also be what I consider to be bloatware. Unless it's activated, I don't want it. And it's a pretty big program. It takes a while to get these off of here. But when something comes off in 2 seconds, like Microsoft News, by the time I hit uninstall, it's gone. Like, that's not bloated. That's very simple little stuff. One could argue that OneDrive is bloatware, unless it's something you use. One could argue Teams, again, Teams is it's a full application, but it's not that big of a deal to uninstall it. It just takes a few seconds. So none of this is bloat. None of this is weighing the computer down and causing any sort of a degradation in performance or consumption of storage or RAM that would affect the performance and usability of the machine, except for potentially that McAfee and that Microsoft Office. Some people like this Web Advisor by McAfee. I don't, and we can uninstall it. That's not bloatware either. That's a pretty small app, and it comes off here very quickly. That's it. Now the McAfee program itself, or I would argue this Xbox stuff is complete bloatware. But again, the fact that it comes out so quickly is your indication of it's bloated. Bloat takes time. That's what bloat essentially is equating to, is something that's large and unyielding. It's bloated, it's big, it's fat, it's slow. So these little tiny apps, they're not bloat any more than a cookie on your computer isn't bloat either. They're little teeny tiny text files. And if you have thousands of them, you might say, look at all this bloat. You are misusing that term. That is not the proper technical word for what bloat is. So again, all I see here that I'm worried about as far as affecting performance or affecting how much of my drive space is taken or how much of my resources in Windows are being absorbed out of the box would be McAfee and this Office 365. That's it for Microsoft 365, which, you know, people voluntarily put on anyway. But like I said, if it's not activated, then it's bloat if it's just a trial, any sort of trialware. Okay, just to clarify any miscommunication in what is bloatware and what isn't. The idea of bloatware came up in the 90s, primarily in early 2000s, when manufacturers like Dell, HP, Lenovo were making deals with software companies to put installs of trial software on your brand new build. We saw 50% of the brand new machine, 50% of the hard drive space already used by trial software. You'd sit there and uninstall and wait and uninstall and wait and uninstall. And you got to a point where you're like, geez, it'd be faster for me to just reinstall Windows. But if you did reinstall Windows on this, I would put a lot of that HP software back on, like the support software and the diagnostic software, because it's there to help you if you have a problem and reduce the amount of support calls they're getting, along with the frustration from the end user going, you know how long I waited on support call? Well, if you had just left our app and it would have taken care of it for you. So to each their own on that, it's your computer. And what I consider essential and vital, you might think of as optional. You know, to each their own on that. But bloat is no argument. Little tiny shortcuts to things. That's not what bloat is. It never has been defined as that, except by people who don't know what they're talking about on the internet. And I don't mean you specifically. You probably read that somewhere, or you got it from another content creator and it was taught to you. And now you've sort of conflated what bloat is today versus what it was yesterday. And I'm telling you, the definition hasn't changed. Bloat is bloat. And calling something that isn't, you might say, I'm bloated. Not everybody would agree with you. But, you know, if I was this big around, it'd probably be difficult to disagree. If we can see it differently, then it's not universally a truth. So you have your truth and I have mine in that regard. I am Raj. Raj says you should try HPIA from HP to update all the drivers. Well, maybe we'll look at that at a given time. This download for 25H2 is taking a lot longer. We're only at 6%. Maybe things will speed up, but while we're waiting, we continue to have our discussion of differences. Peter VZ joining us from the Netherlands with a €1 contribution. Thank you, Peter. And let's see. Peter says, sometimes I use the Xbox controller on some CDs and then the software is okay. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't know anybody who does. So for me, by this definition of bloatware, that would be bloatware. But it's just, again, regardless if you see value in it, that doesn't define what bloat is. And because you don't see value in it, doesn't mean somebody else will agree with you. And it doesn't mean you're wrong. It means that some things are simply open to interpretation. No differently than you want to order something at the restaurant that I would never eat, and it's your favorite meal. That's the beauty of the world, is we're all not the same. And to accept and respect each other's differences. Right? And not only that, but to appreciate those differences, to look at them in awe, not to look at them in disrespect or to look down on them in any way as inferior to your own. And I'm not saying that you are, but just that what I'm trying to emphasize is what you're considering is unique to you. And it's often being learned from somebody else. It's not something generally people wake up with and decide. It's sort of a manipulation that occurs online. And then if you associate with that and you start watching more of it, because that's how the internet works, it gives you more of what you want to hear, then you may be oblivious to the fact that there are legitimate other ways of seeing something that are the opposite of the way you're seeing it, and is not a universal truth. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. It's not good or it's not bad. It's just having a mutual respect that you would like to have, that you offer to other people as well and say, you say, well, I don't like it. I say, well, I do like it. Okay, well, that's interesting. And I don't think less of you for that. And you shouldn't think less of me for it. And we can agree it's neither here nor there for either one of us to decide to a third party if it's good or bad for them. That's for them to decide. All right. Bernsey says, Carey, I've been a watcher for quite a few years now. I wanted to go back and rewatch your build videos. Where did they go? Well, Bernsey, unfortunately, the channel has almost been shut down entirely and gone forever. The only thing that saved this channel was memberships. So if you look in the chat room, you'll see there are people in green there. And those people pay a monthly subscription that opens up and makes available all of that previous archived content to them because they're paying for it. Many of us, we grew up in the days where commercials paid for the stuff we're watching. Those days are about gone now. Everything now is streaming services like Netflix and Paramount, Apple Plus, HBO Max, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that free over-the-air television paid for by commercials isn't quite financially feasible anymore for anything but the cheapest shows to manufacture. So great shows like Resident Alien that cost a lot of money to make and had very passionate viewership, unfortunately could not get enough money in advertising to continue to make that show. So then you either have to shut the show down or you have to move it to a subscription base where the viewers who are so passionate about it are willing to pay for it. If the viewers aren't willing to pay for it, then they really only liked it because it was free. That business model, not my decision, doesn't work anymore on YouTube. And without those members in green, you wouldn't even see me anymore. I'd have been gone last year, 2 years ago. Many channels are suffering the same fate, and the idea of trying to make money through advertising here on this platform either means I'm making a commercial for something that I'm getting paid, or I'm supported by my members, or I have over 1 million subscribers where maybe, just maybe, I could eke out enough to pay the bills just through advertising. But I'd need at least 1 million to do that. And we're not even halfway there after 14 years, however long it's been. So thankfully, we're still here, and thankfully to those people in green. And I hope you'll consider supporting us. And if you do, then you can get access back to all the other content. It's still there, but it is an incentive for people who think that that content has value. If it's not worth paying for, if you say, well, I liked it when it was free, but I don't like it if I have to pay for it, then you never really saw value in it, right? So what I'm trying to do is make sure that people who do support us get something in return. So they get members-only videos. Oh, I see my new NAS has arrived. You look like you're really struggling. Just set it down.
Crap.
Yeah, just set it down. Thank you.
No problem.
Did it require a signature?
They do not.
Interesting.
It was some person in a car, not like a.
I don't care.
FedEx
As long as they brought it to the right house.
You know what? It's all good, and that's a fancy box with a.
Let's hope what's inside of it
I'm
is.
looking forward to seeing that.
It'll be coming.
All I'm gonna say.
Probably in a week or two. We've got a couple other things ahead of it. I'll take it from here.
Okay.
Watching you walk with that, you'd think it was 100 pounds. All right. So anyway, forgot where I was. Oh, so yeah. Thankfully, all those people in green are the only reason you'll even find this channel. It was at the verge of just being shut down and all videos deleted forever. So this is what we can do for free. And members, again, there's benefits to the membership from the archives to the members-only videos and other special things we do for members, because without them, we wouldn't be here. So if you truly appreciate the content, we hope it's worth something to you. And if not, you know, we're not losing anything anymore, because the advertising is pretty much the commercials that used to pay for videos, that stopped a few years ago. You still pay a little tiny bit, but it's about 10% of what it used to pay. And it's just not going to work anymore as a business plan here, unless I want to make commercials. And companies can pay me to tell me what I can tell you. I have to read a script. It's not my voice. They give me a big check. And that's what a lot of YouTube channels have become now. And we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to maintain an independent voice. So if you want that support, you need to give it. So That's how we're doing this, in case you're wondering. How does this all get paid for? All those people in green now. Not 2019 anymore, unfortunately. And again, not my choice, not something I was happy about, but it was either that or shut it down. Mark Gaines says, Carey, Coursera is sending me a new LCD module for my all-in-one. They also give me a 50-pound goodwill gesture for the inconvenience. You know, in my experience, Coursera has had customer service that's very, very good. The idea that this is now your second one, or this will be your third one, is unfortunate, but let's hope once you get this and install it that you're good for a while. Appreciate the update, Mark. Raj says, when I re-image a HP laptop, it installs all the drivers and BIOS for that model of HP device. It'll also give you the option of selecting individual drivers. Good to know. David Graham says, what kind of battery life can we expect out of this laptop? Well, according to the documentation, it's got just under 8 hours of battery life, depending on how it's used. Like at the best, about little over 7.5 hours, 7 hours and 45 minutes. So I would imagine, you know, if you're doing something really resource intensive, using a lot of energy up, could be as low as 5 hours, maybe even 4.5. If you're watching Netflix or watching YouTube videos, it's not doing much. It probably, you'll see closer to 8 hours out of it. Peter says he has YouTube Premium and he never sees advertisements anymore on YouTube then. Yeah, and HP Premium users, when they watch my content for free, I make more money from their view than I do from like just general YouTube viewers. The free platforms, even on network television, as I mentioned, in radio, they're starting to go away. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I think in a few years' time, car manufacturers aren't even going to include radios anymore. Kids today don't want to listen to the radio. They don't want to hear commercials. And if you do listen to the radio, it's almost nothing but commercials. So I foresee in the near future, brand new modern cars, probably before 2030, will still come with the audio entertainment systems, but they'll all be Bluetooth and have built-in Spotify and Apple Play and all this other stuff will be built into them. And radio will fade out. Like any other technology, nothing lasts forever. It gets replaced by something else. You don't hear a lot of people using Morse code or doing smoke signals. I mean, I'm sure there's some enthusiasts out there, but it's just not the way we communicate anymore. And so as we march on and evolve as a society and a culture, we adapt to the changes that the culture adapts to, whether we like it or not. So it's more of the same. All right, let me go back over here real quick and see how we're doing. So for whatever reason, it's stuck at 6% on this download, but everything else seems happy. So let's restart it and let that apply. And then we'll come back and we'll check for some more updates again. Now, this Western Digital Blue is not going to be a really fast NVMe drive. Again, this is a business class computer. It's not designed to be a rocket ship. And when I talk to people who are oftentimes the most vocal about how much RAM and storage and bloatware, and I say, what do you use your computer for that you can be so demanding and finicky and picky, and how much money are you willing to spend? What I usually get in response from average users is, I don't have a lot of money to spend. And I use my computer for these menial things where the performance, the storage, and the RAM really don't, it's all psychological in their head. And furthermore, they don't have the money to back that up. So if you're in this price range looking for a computer in this price range, a laptop, and you can find something better equipped at this price, I'd say buy it. But if you're going to say, look, I want everything and in return I'm going to give nothing, it's just an unreasonable statement to make. And if I'm trying to understand why you need everything, explain to me how you use your computer. Yeah, every once in a while someone has a specific app that requires it, but they often make really good money with that app, so they can afford to pay all the extra for that. But if it's, well, I do this for fun and I have this really expensive app, then you're just entertaining yourself. And if you're entertaining yourself, I don't want to hear about how expensive your hobby is. Like, pick a different hobby. It's not like you don't have a choice. I'm forced to have to pay this. No, you're not forced. So I like to dig a little deeper and try to find an understanding as to what's going on in the customer's head that they think they need this. Let me find out. And more times than not, they don't need it at all. They just want it. And why? Because they get all into the hype of the marketing. Marketing is very powerful. Peer pressure in marketing. I got to have it because I saw it online. I saw a video. What are you going to use it for? I don't know. Okay, so you got the money? No. Well, then this whole discussion's pointless. You can have whatever you want if you got the money for it. We're not trying to show you the fastest computer. We're trying to show you of what I believe potentially is a great value, at least while it's on sale. And I'm just trying to determine that right now, as if anything about this would degrade from its cost. If it were to cost more, we'd be having a different discussion. If it were to cost less, I would still be saying what I'm saying right now. Can you find a better value at this price? And if so, please point it out to me. Otherwise, saying it's not powerful enough doesn't make any sense, or saying it's not upgradable enough. If you want that, it's available at a higher price. I'm not saying it's not available, and I'm not saying this is the best laptop ever made. You have to consider price in exchange for what you're buying. Otherwise, I'd have 6 Rolls Royces if I could. Why not? Why wouldn't I? But I could get a car for a lot less money than a single Rolls Royce. And it'll eventually get me to where I want to go regardless, the same way. So, all right, let me get back over to the desktop here, and let's go back over to Windows Update one more time. Did I unclick that? I don't remember. Uninstall. Oh, because that took us here. Where was that? Adobe Offers. I don't recall seeing it in here. Nothing under A. Dropbox promotion. Uninstall. I feel like some of this went back on, maybe through Windows Update. So I would save this till after all the updates are done for that reason. But regardless, if you don't like that shortcut, which is all I think that is, then instead of choosing uninstall, I would just right click and remove it and pin it. Same here. We can try uninstall, but I don't recall. Oh, right there. Booking.com. See how fast these come off? I don't recall a booking.com in here either. That's very strange that HP is handling it this way. So these aren't really installed. That's what it's telling you. They're little shortcuts they pinned. And when you unpin them, they're pretty much gone. All right, let's go back to Settings, Windows Update. And again, if you were that particular about it, you could just wipe the OS and put your own. For some people, they're just very difficult to please. And if they're going to be that way, and there's a price for it, I'm happy to accommodate a customer's whims if I'm being paid for my time. But if the customer doesn't want to pay for it, or they expect it out of the box that way, they can buy something else, I don't care. Or they can do it themselves, I don't care. But if they're the ones having the problem, then they're the ones that's going to deal with the problem. And they can deal with it by paying to have it done for them, or they can do it themselves. Most customers are not watching YouTube, and they're not reading these Reddit forums, and they're not getting the information some of you are getting that's leading you to believe that you're outsmarting people because, oh, average users don't know that stuff's on there. Average users don't care, and average users don't even notice. They're not even paying attention because they don't care, and they would not see any difference in performance with the computer, with it or without it. This is something only certain people of a mindset do. And if you choose to be a part of that minority, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong, but as a business owner, you would be a very difficult customer for me. And I would rather work with the majority of customers that don't know so much that they're going to breathe down the back of my neck or question anything I do, unless they're willing to pay extra for that. Because if they're that knowledgeable, there's no reason for them to be hiring me. There's no reason for them to be watching my videos and learning, because they already know everything. So I wish them the best, and I hope they start their own YouTube channel so I can learn from them. But there is what actually matters in the world, and then there's people's feelings. And, you know, I'm Gen X, so I only have one feeling. I have very little empathy when it comes to that sort of, I am uncomfortable, or I don't, you know, whatever, anything has to do with feelings, it's like talking to Mr. Spock. Like, I don't compute. We're just here to talk about reality, and your interpretation of that is entirely up to you. And you're free to believe and to have your level of values. Just because they don't align with mine doesn't mean mine are wrong. But mine do represent the masses. That's all I'm trying to say. In running a business, you want to appeal to the masses. You want to try and get as many customers as possible. If you want to run a niche business where you only apply to certain people, then obviously that's going to be a very expensive job that you're going to charge a lot more for that, because you're a specialist, and if you specialize in a certain area, that makes you worth more. And if what you're specializing in is in an area where people don't have the money to pay for it, you're just not going to be in business. So understand, you're not watching an enthusiast. You're watching a real computer technician. And I'm giving you information you don't hear generally on YouTube. Most people on YouTube are just enthusiasts, and that's okay. They just only have to worry about what they care about. When you're working for somebody else, you're being paid to accommodate what they want. And again, depending on how much they're paying, there's a level to how much they're going to be able to get for the price. Again, that's why I don't have a Rolls Royce. I want one, but unless somebody else is going to pay for it, probably never going to have one in my life. Mark Gain says he gets 9 hours of battery life from an HP Envy 17-inch laptop. That's really good. Yeah, your screen's bigger. That's a big battery eater. But I imagine you probably have a bigger power supply and a bigger battery because it's a bigger laptop. Likely the battery in your laptop would not fit in this laptop. Physically is bigger than the laptop itself. So that makes sense. Hey, there's Frankie B. He says, sorry, it's been a while. I've been busy. Hey, I love it. It's great to be busy. And all the mini PCs he has are running great. Thanks again. That's music to my ears, Frankie. Always good to see you, my friend. And keeping busy, always good. Mecca Cameron joins us, says hello. Alan Lindas, Carey, will we be adding the Intel driver and support assistant app? I mean, we can. I don't think it's necessary with HP having their own. I think you can end up with two apps that are fighting over different versions of the same thing because they have a numbering scheme that's different, even though it's the same app. Generally speaking, the Intel driver support and assistant app would be something I would put on where you did not have an automatic driver installer, or that the automatic driver installer isn't kept up to date. So for example, if you had an ASRock motherboard you were building and you go to the ASRock driver updater that's automatic, it's good. But over time, especially as the motherboard ages, ASRock may not keep that really up to date to the latest versions unless it solves particular problems. In that case, after about a year, it might make sense to throw the Intel assistant driver on it, assuming it's an Intel system, of course. But these days, I very rarely use it anymore. Again, the necessity for it is fading away. As the technology continues to evolve, as the drivers continue to become a little bit more unified, and the evolution slows down, the driver updates are less frequent, they're less important in many cases, and again, we get into an emotional thing where people feel like I need the latest version, but they can't explain why. They have no idea what it does, and they won't see any difference after they do it. So I would rather a customer would call me with a problem, right? So if a customer says, hey, my computer's no longer connecting to the Wi-Fi or something like that, that we would then go about repairing it. But with regards to regular maintenance, personally, I haven't used the Intel driver update assistant on a modern computer in a long time. I have pulled it up on occasion, but if you keep watching this channel, as you have been, you see it used less and less and less. There's a lot of things I used to do because they used to need to be done, like CCleaner. You don't see that anymore. I'm trying to help keep everybody up to date, and if the reason you're not seeing me do a certain process is because Windows and the hardware and the drivers have evolved to a point where they more or less take care of themselves now. And in many cases, if you insist on still doing it the old school way, then you're going to be calling me with a problem that you voluntarily created. Or a question like, I updated my video driver with the Intel driver assistant, but then Windows Update tells me there's a new Intel video driver. But then when I do that and I reboot, then Intel driver assistant tells me there's a new video driver. But when I install that and reboot, then Windows Update. How do I fix it? And you fix it by taking off the Intel driver assistant. Clearly you don't need it anymore. So that would be my advice, is just remove it. Now, if we were curious and you wanted to run it, we could. It's not necessarily going to hurt anything, but I consider it these days to be an unnecessary, gratuitous step that doesn't really add any value and is more likely going to cause a confusion issue like what I just explained. You talk about bloatware and, oh, well, the bloatware's okay if I put it on? Okay. If you really want to rid your system of bloatware, then that would assume, if we're defining bloatware as being something you don't use, that's taking up space or resources, where you don't need it, you get rid of it, that would be, these days, for a modern computer, it would fit into that category of bloatware. So, and again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying I don't do that anymore, unless it's an older machine. Billard says, I built my own i9 computer a month ago. Very good. Sounds like a pretty nice high-end computer. Themo partnered in the chat says, I've been missing in action for a while. I'm back learning to be a mechanic. I got out of doing IT. I just got bored with it. But I just built an 8th gen i7 with 32 gigs of RAM. Don't need anything top line. Yeah, it's fine. I had an older 8th gen Dell XPS laptop. I think I used that for 6 to 8 years. It was my main computer at Studio B at first. And ended up giving that to my nephew. It was just sitting here on a shelf. And he said, what's this? And, you know, I had to wipe the dust off it. Oh, my old XPS. What's wrong with it? Nothing. Can I have it? Take it. He calls me up a few months later. He goes, that's the best laptop I've ever owned. I go, and it's already 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, it's nothing to shake a stick at. Don't get caught up in the numbers, guys. It's really about what is suiting your needs versus what is suiting your emotional wants. And if you've got the financial backing to cover your wants, go for it. That's what you want to spend your money on. But it's not like you're typing or reading any faster. Your gaming skills aren't getting any better just because you bought a nicer monitor. This is all just ways marketing companies separate you from your money. And if you want to play that game, it's a game you'll never win. So have at it. If you have a legitimate reason to have really high-end stuff, then it's likely because you earn money from it, and that, of course, you have the money to pay for it. So need versus want. It's the same for all of us, not just you. It applies to all of us. If there's things I can't afford that I want, I go without them. That's why I don't have a Rolls Royce. All right, let's go back over here and see how we're doing. Okay, the update for 1125H2 is done. Very good. So that should start installing here momentarily. So again, I just want to present to you a professional technician's view because I think it's uncommon on YouTube. There are some out there, but they're few and far between. And I believe you guys are getting one-sided information. If I held up a dollar bill and I showed it to you, and I said, I never look at this side of the dollar bill. This is the side, and I flip it around to the back. It's almost like no one ever thought that dollar bill had another side to it. Same value, same dollar bill, but if everybody only shows you one side, the viewer, there's a psychology that happens where when they think of a dollar, all they think of is the front of it, like that's the whole thing. Like, no, there's a whole nother side to it that's of equal value, that's worthy of consideration, and more people should talk about it. But it's all very one-sided on YouTube and on the internet in general. Most of us who do this for a living don't want to do it after hours to talk to the public and try and clarify their misconceptions unless we're getting paid. Why would any normal, reasonable person do that? So that's all you need to know about me. All right, there's a little pop-up that showed up here. Let me take a look. Check your HP warranty status. Do not send the data. Again, this isn't my laptop, so actually, I guess I have to check this first. Then I can uncheck this. Then I can check this. And I would not consider that bloatware, because if you ever had a warranty situation come up, HP is going to need that information, and good luck to you finding it by hand when you could have just left it on, but you've made yourself miserable because you decided from watching some content creator that you should remove that. Profoundly foolish, in my opinion. And the content creator that recommended it holds no liability to any damages or inconvenience they cause you, because you're the one who voluntarily chose to believe them. That's on you. So you decide what's right for you. I can't tell you any more than any other content creator, but I can tell if you were a general customer, I'd say leave that alone. You might need that one day. Now, when the machine's out of warranty, then you want to remove it. I'm behind you 100%. But it's your machine. You can drop kick it and hit it with a baseball bat for all I care. I'm not recommending you do that, though. But you might be somebody that likes to test endurance of laptops, and you like to smash them with aluminum baseball bats to see how they hold up. That's not normal use case scenario, and I've never had any customers do that. So I don't think you and I have a lot to discuss, because it's not what I'm here for. But I'm not telling you anything you're doing is wrong. But this isn't a channel that's necessarily going to be beneficial to you. And your experience hitting things with baseball bats isn't necessarily valuable to any of my viewers or myself. So I'm not going to say it. Eugene Hidalgo says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Carrie, Mara, and Sharon. Thank you, Eugene. John Lewis says, sometimes simpler is better. I have a 3-year-old Dell notebook. I now just use just Dell Support Assist and Windows Update. Yeah, there's no reason to do this stuff old school anymore, unless it's an old computer. Alan says, what about adding the Windows 11 optimizer? Yeah, of course. I always add the Windows 11 optimizer. And Nick has recently added a few new statuses, like if BitLocker is on, just to raise awareness. Is System Restore on? And that's something you just run one time and you're done with it. You shouldn't need to run the optimizer ever again for the life of the computer, unless you have significantly changed the computer, like you've reinstalled the OS, or maybe created a new user profile where all the defaults went back. But the optimizer, it's not like something that runs in the system. It's an independent standalone program that you run. It executes, it makes changes that are available that you can do by hand in Windows. It's not changing any, adding any new registry entries or doing these really wonky things some content creators recommend that can have serious consequences 6 months down the road when now updates don't work for you anymore. And you'll never know it was because you listened to some content creator and modified your system in a way that Microsoft doesn't recommend. Our optimizer only changes things that you can change by hand within Windows menuing systems, and even including things like group policy editing, even in Windows Home without having to install the group policy editor. So the difference between my app and, say, like an Intel driver assistant is that driver assistant runs every single time. It stays in the background at all times. Mine never installs. You run it once, it makes the changes, and you reboot, and you never need it again. So two very different things and two very different objectives. So yeah, we'll absolutely run the optimizer on it. I am a little curious what the performance of the NVMe is, but I want this 25H2 to install, and we're only at 16% of the install right now. So we're getting there. Again, my challenge for anybody questioning the laptop is, what other laptops at this price point do you feel may be a better value? It's not a challenge. It's a sincere inquiry. What are you aware of that I don't know? Because so far as I can tell, if you're going to pay less than what this laptop costs to get another laptop, you're going to get less of something. Less RAM, less storage, an older CPU, a slower CPU. Maybe no webcam, I don't know. And if you're going to pay more, then my question is, what are you getting for that much money? And is it worth the difference in price? And that may be subjective, right? You might think it's worth it to pay $100 more to go 3% faster, and I'll say that's not worth $100. And we'll agree to disagree. But just out of sincere curiosity, what are we comparing this to? Because if it's not another $900 laptop, then we're not really doing a fair comparison. But if there is another $900 laptop that's equal to or better than this, I will be really upset if you don't tell me about it. Thomas MacT has been reading Mara's cookbooks. I just received 3 bags of the wonderful flour for my daughter to start baking using your new cookbook. Did you ever receive the video I sent you, Mara? Oh. I guess I'll have to have Mara answer that. Mara's got a very strict diet that if she doesn't follow, she could die. And that means she has to stay away from sugar, and she has to stay away from a lot of carbohydrates, because that turns into sugar. And yeah, anyway, it's very difficult to go out to eat because of those requirements. Not a lot of restaurants accommodate to people that are diabetics. As a result, you're best to cook it at home. And she has done this since she was a child. She's had to deal with this. And it's not like, you'd think it'd be more common, right? More accommodating and with the state of the world and processed foods and everything else, but it isn't. So her and I discussed it, and it was a great opportunity for her to take these recipes and update them. She's got over 1,000 recipes she's collected over the years for the healthy foods that she can eat that aren't going to, spike her blood sugar and have to chase it down with insulin and make her life miserable or end up in the hospital. So these are her 2 latest books. This one involves using something called Unbelieva flour, which is a new flour alternative that you use just like flour. And this one is the first one that she redid it. It's in a new format now, and much thicker book. And this has a little bit of everything in there, from desserts and main meals and appetizers and familiar treats that are just made in a more healthy manner, but without tasting healthy. Yeah, you can still make an onion blossom, which is probably the highest carb item on the menu at the Outback Steakhouse, and you could make it completely flavorful. It looks a little different because in this case she made it in the air fryer instead of the deep fryer, but still battering it and still having that unbelievable delicious experience without any of the negative impact of all the heavy carbs and fats. So these are available on Amazon. We'll make sure that the links for both of these books are in our video notes in the video description, and that's from our very own Maralina. And again, it's not because she wanted to. She just wanted to stay alive, right? So she was kind of forced to have to make a lot of this stuff and figure out how to do it. If she wanted an alternative to a treat or a popular meal that everybody's eating, that there's no way she can touch ordinarily, like lasagna or something that's really heavy with carbs. But guess what? She's figured out ways to do it. And it doesn't taste like you're eating the cardboard box. So yeah, that's what Thomas MacT is referring to. Daniel Burke said, the video is super timely. I just bought the 17.3 version of your HP for work. Was a little uneasy about the price at first, wondering what may be wrong. Thanks for the out-of-box experience and hard Ethernet tips. Oh yeah, these are like 10, 15 bucks on Amazon. Yeah, I have like 4 or 5 of them because I've got them 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig, and I have USB-A and USB-C. So anything that rolls across my desk, I've got a fix for it. But you guys probably just need one, and even if you just use it temporarily, you'll be glad you've got it. It won't go bad. Andy says Nemo gets extra points for the fishy. Fair enough. Fair enough. Nemo does have some great prices on their laptops, and they're running a Christmas sale. I think I have a link up for that too if you're interested to see what Nemo's got. Because I would normally lean towards Nemo before HP, just because I'd rather root for the underdog personally. But let me turn on the window capture and let's get over there. Again, the link for the NemoPC.com website and Christmas sale should be in our video notes. It's going on right now until the day after Christmas. And yeah, I mean, this is Ryzen 7, so not exactly an identical comparison to this one here. That's Intel, but nonetheless, about 50 bucks cheaper. Then we've got 17.3. The great thing that I like about Nemo a lot is the same thing I like about Minisforum. That's variety. And the fact that many of these laptops can be ordered bare bones, where you put your own RAM and storage in. Although, as we talked about in the beginning of this video, it's probably cheaper for you to let them put it in for you because they're buying in much larger bulk quantities than you ever will in your entire life. And they're probably doing that every 30 days. A lifetime's worth for an ordinary person. So they're going to get a much cheaper price on it per unit since they're buying in bulk. So this is light game and media, heavy game and creation, light office. This would be medium office. Do they have medium office? Look at that. You can get a laptop for $219. I mean, granted, it's an N100, but still. That's a laptop with a screen, speakers, keyboard, trackpad, power supply. Wow. Yeah, I don't see anything equivalent to this one, though. These are pretty entry-level budget. And these are over the top. And these are, I'd say right down the middle of the road, but I think they're all AMD. I don't think there's an Intel in the bunch. Right, there's an i5-12450. That's a step below this one. So is the price. So there you go. Like I said, it seems like it's pretty reasonable to know what you should expect on price, depending on the processor, the size of the screen, the amount of RAM, and the amount of storage. But yeah, you might want to look through there, see if they got any good deals. Prices will continue to go up as RAM gets more expensive throughout 2026. But again, the big manufacturers, it may make a $10 or $15, $20 difference. The smaller the manufacturer or home user, that difference is massive. And again, it's not just you, it's worldwide. It's affecting us all the same. We're all going to deal with it. We'd appreciate if you deal with it along with us. Unless you have an answer to it. I don't know what other choice there is. All right. Andy says Nemo will also add RAM or storage if you tell them at the time of purchase. This is also true. Thank you for pointing that out, Andy. Yes.
You have email, and the links for the cookbooks are in the video.
The links for the cookbooks are in the video notes.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Right now, we're still installing 25H2. Just to give you a quick heads up on how that's progressing. We're at 63%, and I'm still just kind of stalling, waiting for this to finish. This is the downside of doing live unboxings, is if we start to evaluate performance and everything without all the updates on it, it's an invalid test. So these do take time, and depending on how it arrives out of the box, we don't know what we get. And this is a real experience. So if you were to order one of these, I would strongly recommend you follow everything I'm doing before you start putting your own software on this, just to make sure everything's working like it should. There's nothing worse than getting everything configured the way you like it, and then you have to turn around and send it back. Now you're like, oh, I got my stuff on it, and I got to erase it. And you just created a lot of work for yourself due to impatience. So take it nice and easy in the beginning, and then once you get that green light, everything's updated, everything passes, then settle in. Don't try and do everything at once. That's the best advice I can give you. As for emails, we've got a Amazon gift card from Frankie B. And again, very generous from our friend Frankie. Thank you so, so much. We appreciate you. Again, a thank you to Mr. B508, Mark Gaines, and our friend Buster for supporting us here as well. Again, without you guys, I can't stress enough, this would not be a thing I could do anymore. YouTube. It just wouldn't be able to make the house payment, let alone all the other bills. And as a result, I'd be basically just putting my focus back onto my clients, getting new clients, and shutting all this down so I could go to a traditional job and have a traditional living. And YouTube was really doing much better than my job was making me. And I thought, wow, you know, this is great. And then it stopped. YouTube decided there's too many content creators. The advertisers decided there's too many ad blockers, and everything went down the toilet in value. So it still costs us the same amount of money to make the videos, but we earn 90% less from YouTube than we were earning just a few years ago. So then the question is, do you keep going or do you shut it down? And we left it up to the community to decide. And as you can see, we're still here, and that's all thanks to the dedication and loyalty of our community. So it's because of them we're able to continue to make public videos and haven't gone totally private. And I'm speechless. I'm accustomed to going out and getting my own work. If I want to work, I go out and I go get the work. I'm not accustomed to leaving that decision up to somebody else. So it's kind of a trust fall. And yeah, it's incredible, the support this community has. And I love that we can still offer the videos for free on Fridays and Sundays. We still do the free videos, and the community is open to everybody to come join us. So it's not a private nerd club or anything like that. Everybody's always welcome to come in and join us. And you know, it's only made possible because of the sheer number of members we have. Of course, the more members we get, the bigger video productions we can do, the more often we can make videos. There has been a slowdown in the number of videos because there's been a slowdown in the industry. At this point now, the problem is there's nothing new coming out in Wi-Fi. There's nothing new coming out as far as CPUs. They're just, you know, on the Intel and AMD side, they're mostly just refreshes of what we've already had. There's no new motherboards, no new chipsets. So we're just kind of out of things. And we do have some, like we have a NAS from Orico that just came in today. We have the Comet KVM Pro that came in yesterday. We have a brand new highest end computer Nemo's ever made, which I can't wait to get my hands on and show you. It's sealed up in the box. Hopefully we can get to it Sunday. This is like a $3,000 computer. Nemo has never made anything like it before. And I'm super excited to take a look at that. But what's happening is we're seeing kind of a trickling where the faucet was on full and I couldn't keep up. And we'll see what 2026 looks like. But right now on the horizon, there's really nothing exciting happening for the next 12 months that I'm aware of. And CES, we'll see what's being introduced at CES. Even the new Samsung S26 doesn't look like it's exciting at all. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I never bought an S25 because it was just a big nothing burger. I feel like the S26s were back to nothing again. I'd love to buy a new phone, but not to just spend money. It's got to be better than what I've got. And my S24 is, as far as I could tell, can't tell any difference between that and an S25. And I'm afraid from what I've already heard about the S26, it's more of the same. I want to be wrong. In the meantime, it is what it is, and we deal with it. That's all. We just deal with it. All right, we're at 93% here. If we have repairs or upgrades that come in, of course, I'll film them, but we're seeing fewer of that. People don't have the money or they don't care anymore. If we have, repairs come in, I'd love to show you a live diagnostic. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they don't want their stuff to be seen. I've offered a number of viewers I can connect remotely and we can show the audience, and they're, no, I don't want the audience to see my desktop. I'll let you see it privately, but I'm not showing everything off. And I don't blame them. So we're running into a lot of very much heightened security concerns, despite nothing's ever happened, at least to the best of my knowledge in that regard. But if somebody doesn't want to do it, I respect their wishes, and it just means we don't have that content to show you like we used to. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the shift in the perceptions and the culture and how we are a bit more cautious, which may be a good thing in the big picture of things, but it does result in a shift and a change in the content I can make as to what's available for me to make. So you have the obstacle of the financial side of it, and then you have the actual, where do we get the work? And we'll just see how it goes. I'm hoping some companies have some products in development that they're just staying hush-hush about, and they'll announce it at CES. But at the same time, I'm thinking there's probably nothing. Bigger TVs, just big TVs. I laugh because otherwise I would just cry. I don't want to be a downer, but I'm just telling you. We were doing videos Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and we don't have anything to do videos on. Everything's been done. So what little we do have, we're saving for Friday and Sundays. Try and stretch that out. And back at Studio B, I couldn't keep up. I had stuff stacked up waiting to be reviewed, and I was at least 3 to 5 weeks behind. So I guess since I don't take vacations really, this is nature's way of forcing me into one, whether I like it or not. That's the way I look at it. Since you're not taking a break, we're going to give you no choice. Bradley said you can hide the desktop item. Oh, I'm well aware, Bradley. I'm well aware. Unfortunately, we often have to dig deeper than the desktop. And in doing so, we may accidentally expose documents or private information. And when it's live without editing, the idea that that's possible, if I can just stay on the desktop, if I know going into it, I never have to leave the desktop. I never have to go in the downloads folder after downloading something, which may expose, you got to really show a bit more respect and not oversimplify what could be somebody's consequence just because they wanted to share something. And it turns out some of the people they shared it with are going to use that against them. Unfortunately, that is possible. And without those reassurances that it can't happen, it's not worth it for somebody to just want to share their experience with a stranger online. If they're your friend and you know them, it's different. But yeah, just simply hiding desktop icons, I don't know, I just feel like you're not really thinking through what that process entails. And usually during any repair, I have to go beyond the desktop. So that's why I didn't recommend it or didn't mention it. I just don't see that as being a solution. All right, let's get back over here for a second. I think it's waiting. Yeah. And in fact, there have been occasions where I've been able to just move everything into a folder called desktop icons and stick it in there on the desktop. But that's when I know ahead of time what I need to do. When I'm looking at something live that I've never seen before, it might tie my hands and make it impossible for me to demonstrate the fix without going into those folders. So then the whole point of the video is lost. It's just a waste of everybody's time. Those are the challenges I face as a content creator. It's just part of the deal. Peter says, thank you for the support and a €6 super chat. Thank you, Peter. And Peter joins us from the Netherlands. And he says, I've got a Nemo N155 laptop, which is a Ryzen 6800, 32 gigs of RAM with the 680M iGPU. Great value, $502 3 months ago. I haven't really had any complaints on the Nemo laptops at all. They seem like a great value. It's surprising to me how unknown they are. I think if more people were aware of them, they'd be selling a lot more product. And this is another challenge. You know, if you run your own business, you could have the best business with the best work and the best prices, but people don't know you exist. You're not going to stay in business. And there's so much advertising and pop-ups and billboards and commercials trying to get somebody's attention. That's just by default enough. You know, they're being overwhelmed with it. It's hard to get somebody's ear long enough, even if it's something that would benefit them. And that's what we're living in. We're living in an age of ADHD, and you know, you're driving your car, you're seeing billboard after billboard, you're listening to the radio, hearing commercial after commercial, you're being bombarded with advertising on your phone, and we tune it out. And now we're not listening to any of it. And now someone with a legitimate service that would legitimately be beneficial to you, you're not even listening to it. So this is the flip side of, you know, that saturation that's occurring. And it makes it challenging to make consumers aware you exist. I'm seeing so many restaurants going out of business right now. It's breaking my heart. They just can't get people to even to acknowledge they exist. And if people knew, hey, that place has authentic Italian food, it's delicious and homemade, they'd be eating there, but they don't know it. And the advertising's not working, they're not paying attention. And then the business owner can't pay the bills, and then before you know it, they're closed up. It breaks my heart. We have a local guy here that was selling pizza in a brick oven that was portable, and he'd set up on the corner, and it would have a big sign out, and he'd be out from like 6 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock at night or something like that, 4:30 to 9:30. And I'm used to seeing like taco stands, stuff like that, not a brick oven on wheels. Like, what is this? So it says pizza. So Mara and I, we pull into the parking lot because he's set up in a parking lot on the corner of two main streets. Start talking to the guy. It's very clear he's Italian with his accent, which automatically means he knows how to make a pizza, right? And how long you been doing it? I've been doing this for 10 years. Well, I've never seen you before. How long have you been here? Oh, I've been here for a few years. I went onto your website, and you have a website, and it describes the pizzas you make, but nothing about you. You seem like an interesting guy. You're from Italy. There's pizza places everywhere. Why did you start this pizza? Why add to another one? Let me try your pizza. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. Don't you? What if I bring a camera and I interview you so people get to know you and talk about why you make these pizzas? Why do you have, you know, this flavor profile or that? What kind of flour are you using? What sort of, what makes you different from everybody else? Why should people try your pizza? And he's like, yeah, but that's worldwide. You know, I just sell here on the corner. I don't see that. I'm like, oh. People will like you, and they will go there because they like you. They're gonna say he's a really likable guy. The food looks good. I want to support a small business. I didn't know he existed. Let's go try it. You take that video. You don't keep it on YouTube. You put it on your website. So when somebody's going to your website, they see the video. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter if it's worldwide. No, we've been fine. Our customers that we get naturally have been keeping us in business, and we're happy to leave it that way. Okay. Because I'll come over here and interview you, and I'll give you the video. I just feel like, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is you'll get really popular, and I won't be able to get here to get a pizza anymore because you'll always be sold out. That guy hasn't been on the corner now since May or June. I don't know where he went. I suppose maybe he's moved to another location. I don't know. I could call or go to the website. But I can't help but wonder, because he didn't do that, if it has anything to do, like business slowed up. Because now there's a different food vendor in that parking lot, and it ain't him, and it ain't pizza. So it ain't like the business owner said we don't want a food vendor in here anymore. I don't know what happened, but I can't help but wonder if that would have made a difference. Because if you're not driving by, if you're not on that road during the hours he's there, you'd never know it ever existed. Because when he packs up, it's just an empty parking lot. All right, let's get back over here real quick. It just came back up. And let's see. Decline optional data. Continue as guest. Okay, we're charged 100%. This is stuff about the laptop. I'm going to just close that. And then we'll go to, well, I can get my flash drive out and we can run the optimizer. We do sell the optimizer. It's another way we bring funding in for the channel. You can run it on as many computers as you want. We're on an honor system, so there's no product keys or activations. In collaboration with our friends over at D7X Tech, we work together to create this, and we're still polishing it. It's really, really good, don't get me wrong, but I can still see some improvements, and all the updates are free for life on this, so long as we support it. So if I bring up this version of it, I know there's a new version. So the first thing it's going to want to do is check for updates. So as soon as I start this and say yes, you see it's not installing anything. Do you want to check for updates? I do. It should find a new update right there. Do you want it? Yes, I do. And it's going to replace this desktop icon with a new icon here in just a moment as it downloads and replaces the application. And then it says, there we go. And then it says the optimizer was just updated. If you want to visit the website for release notes about what was changed, not at this time, but you can. We sell the optimizer for 20 bucks. You can run it on as many computers as you want. We only ask that you don't give it away to people unless you want to see us go out of business or never develop another optimizer again. Okay, because obviously, if we're doing something just for people to take it, we're probably going to stop doing it. But I think we're asking a very fair price for it. And you can see we get a lot of system information about our Windows version, our SID. We get information about the username, the computer name, the workgroup name, whether or not Windows is activated, whether or not TPM is installed, whether or not Secure Boot is turned on, whether or not BitLocker is on, whether or not System Restore is on. Then you can manually flip these on or off, or if you want to go with just the full recommended settings, you just hit the Optimize All button. And it's going to need to reboot the computer. It'll make these changes. All changes you can do by hand, but you can't do it this fast or this consistently by hand, because this will always do it the same way every time. It makes these changes that are all 100% safe and reversible, by the way, and then it uninstalls that remote desktop connection because it's a security risk. But again, if you don't want that, you could simply manually choose what you want in that menu system that comes up. But this is defaulted to be my app that I'm selling to you guys. So it's designed for my needs. And when it starts back up again, you'll see that it's an intelligent app. When it runs, it's going to say, okay, I can see these settings are now, green instead of where they were black. And then along the right side, you'll see there are individual tasks we can run, such as the driver cleanup, or not driver cleanup, driver backup, disk cleanup. And when this comes back up, I'm going to show you here. It's available for sale now, and we are still polishing it, but it's really, really good. It's 100% functional. We're looking into adding a few more features to it, like checking the status of System Restore and BitLocker was just added on this version. So there was nothing wrong with it before. We've just given it more value. And that's all free updates. All you got to do is check for the updates. And I recommend, don't hold on to old versions because they're just not as good. When the system reboots, you'll see it tells you the updates have been applied and what it skipped on the update recommended optimizations. And that's okay. Everything's normal. Click OK. And now this is the state. Everything here has been turned on. This includes the network fix on peer-to-peer networking without a password. If you want to do the driver backup, again, it's all built in Windows utilities. There's no third-party utility here. Just click that button, and it's backing up the drivers right now. So if we ever wanted to do a wipe and reinstall, I would back up the drivers first and then move them, to a flash drive or something. So that way I wouldn't have to download from HP. I could just put them right back on much faster. Now in just a moment, this will be finished and it'll give you the location. So right now, we're looking here. It says backing up drivers, please wait. Depending on how many drivers are in your system and how fast your system is, this takes an average of about a minute. Completed driver backup. Backup location is in C:\drivers. Great. Then we've got disk cleanup. We can run that, and this will clean up all the temp files, all the previous Windows updates, all that stuff, but without erasing any of your data or history. It's not like a privacy wiper. It's about freeing up hard drive space from unnecessary temp files, driver packages, things like that. Then PC Manager is a free Windows app that you have to put in by hand, which I highly recommend. It replaces CCleaner, but it comes from Microsoft. It's 100% safe. Windows Backup is a built-in backup software in Windows that most people don't know about. It'll take you there. And of course, Windows Update is pretty self-explanatory. Once this is done, this app can be completely removed and never needs to be run again. I mean, unless you want to do these things on the side, but all they're doing is they're taking you to different Windows apps that you may not be aware of. That's all. We're not modifying your Windows installation beyond what you could do by hand within Windows yourself. There's no custom registry settings or registry entries and any of that nonsense. I do not condone that behavior. I find it profoundly irresponsible. And if you did that as a working IT technician working in corporate America, you would probably be found as jeopardizing the system network integrity and the security of the corporate. It's a serious offense that will likely end up with you losing your job. But yet you can follow some content creator who made an app and put that on your system all day. Even my app could not be run in corporate America without the express consent of the IT manager. And doing so would likely result in you not having a job, like not even a warning. You're just, that is so egregious and offensive, you don't belong here. What you do to your own equipment is your business. So I follow a very strict guideline that most other content creators don't follow because they don't work in the industry, or they used to work in the industry and they're disconnected from how things have changed with regards to security. They don't know any better. Well, this is how we did it 20 years ago, 15 years ago. No. I'm talking about how we're doing these things today. I'm in the industry today, and that's why I'm so driven to make this content, because it's very rare to find it on the internet. Like I said, most of us who do this for a living don't want to turn around and make content and tell you about what we did all day today for free, let alone at any price for the most part. There's a handful of us out there, and if you can find them, you know, Scott Merrill, Doug Betts, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How-To, Adam Ant IT, I can't remember the name of his channel, but when you see real working computer technicians, Jake's Tech, if you want to really understand servers and firewalls and all the bigger corporate stuff that has, you know, ATM's not working and the bank's not able to print with their printers, and now the whole business is kind of stumbling and limping along and looking foolish to their customers. Time is ticking. Let's go get it fixed. These are real world problems that real IT people get paid pretty good money to handle that kind of pressure and deal with things that aren't just turning it off and turning it back on again. Although that's still a common fix. But folks like Jake's Tech, good luck finding other content creators like that. They're so few and far between. And so I really appreciate when they take time to, you know, share that information, because most people won't. And enthusiasts will talk to you till they're blue in the face, and maybe it's half true or half connected to actual reality, but they don't take any consequence. They don't take any liability, so they are free to say whatever they want. And no matter how terrible or dangerous the advice may be, they're paid the same regardless. There's no punishment whatsoever. They're immune. Those of us who get paid for a living, we don't get paid. We're not immune. There are consequences. So the information that you're going to hear from an enthusiast versus
somebody who's a professional in any industry is always going to be coming from an area of liability. And that's not to dismiss the enthusiast, not at all. It's something to just keep in mind. Where's the accountability at? There isn't any. Okay, well, I think that's worth knowing. Like this side of YouTube, I don't have any accountability. But on the other side, which is me doing work for my clients, I absolutely have accountability, or I won't have clients anymore. So this is an extension. YouTube is an extension of my work. It's not the other way around. All right, let's see. Nick Caffrey, now a member for 23 months. Hey, Carey and Mara, season's greetings. Hey, Nick, thank you for renewing. And season's greetings to you as well, my friend. Wayne Ellison says, hello, Carey, Mara, and chat. Season's greetings to all. Again, back at you, my friend. TKV says, does HP make a better laptop than their desktop? I know in the past you didn't have much confidence in their PCs. Well, HP makes a consumer side and they make a business side. So if you've been watching this channel, you know I praise HP's business stuff. If you just look at this channel and look at the number of HP business class computers that I praise. On the other hand, you'll see a number of HP consumer class computers that I think are absolute garbage. And so why we're doing today's video is we're and HP makes so many different products. It's not that every consumer-based computer they make is garbage. It's that every business class computer I've ever seen, whether it's a mini PC, a laptop, or a desktop, 100% across the board recommended. I haven't seen one I wouldn't recommend from HP on that side. But on the consumer side, it can go either way. So until we have it on the desk and evaluate each one, like if everybody in your family's a jerk and you come from that family, should I just assume you're a jerk too? Or should I judge you based on who you are? Because maybe you're not a jerk. Maybe you agree and you're like, yeah, my family is a bunch of jerks and I'm not like them. I might be from them and I might be made from them, but I am not them. And how offensive would it be if I just pushed you into the same category? How upset would that make you? So in much the same way, HP makes a variety of products and we need to judge each one on its own merits or its own faults, let's just say. And in this case, we know we have a laptop. It's very aggressively priced. In finding ways that it could be better, so far, what did I come up with? I came up with one thing, moving the power button. I don't like where the power button is. Getting into it's not difficult. Some of the HPs, you'd have to like take the whole laptop apart to get to the hard drive to replace it. It required, 2 hours of labor and taking out 27 screws. This isn't like that. This is a lot easier to work on if you need to work on it. And in all likelihood, the need to work on it has been reduced significantly with the evolution of the technology and sort of a settling in of the operating system. Things aren't evolving, innovating in that sense. Things get faster and smaller and generally cheaper, but we're not necessarily introducing new technology except for maybe AI, which a lot of people who aren't creators, a lot of people who don't work for a living, they don't like the idea of AI. But the people who would use AI to benefit them in their job, the people who actually work as creatives and the people who actually create things, AI makes it so much better. So what I'm hearing from people online overall is the consumers who aren't creating anything, they're just consuming, they don't like AI. Also, if they're over 40 years old, it's pretty rare to find anybody over 40 that's looking forward to AI. Like the vocal majority of anti-AI people, in my experience, like on LinkedIn and where I'm seeing these posts where they're just demonizing AI, they're older men generally. Just as a category, I'm just making an observation. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a trend if you look at the data. The younger people aren't opposed to it. And the people who use AI to actually do content creation or any kind of creation see how much better that whole process becomes. And people that have menial jobs that could be easily replaced with AI, obviously they don't like AI. You know, we went into McDonald's the other day and there's no cashier. It's just these screens and you put your own order in. And I guess they do have one cashier, but I don't know where the person is that operates it. They're somewhere in the back, and I guess if you stand there long enough, they'll see you. But I don't know how I feel about it. Like it's cold and impersonal. So you walk up to the thing and you give me the chicken nuggets and the Coke and the fries, and they say, do you want any ketchup? Do you want any salt? Do you want any pepper? Do you want any napkins? Do you want a straw? You don't get to fill your drink up anymore. If you order a coffee and you're like, give me 2 packets of sugar, you have to specify. They don't just throw a bunch down anymore. No. And they give it to you and there's no stir stick. Too bad. You needed to, when you were on the menu, you needed to add that. It's free, you just have to add it. So then of course you can walk up to the register where there's nobody, wait for them to acknowledge you exist, say, excuse me, to a human, can I get a stir stick to stir my coffee? You'd think I would get one. You'd think I get salt and pepper. No, if you don't specifically ask for it now, you're not getting it. So if your job was to run a register and you're that easily replaced by a machine, it seems pretty obvious why you're pissed off about the machine. But now there's an opportunity for people to install, repair, and upgrade those machines that pays a lot better. Just saying. And nobody's entitled to a job. So if you want to work, go to work. If you don't want to work, don't. And if you feel like you're unhireable, make yourself hireable or start your own business. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody owes you a job. So I don't have any sympathy for this either. It's like, if you were in a job that was very easily replaceable by a computer, that was inevitable for all of us. Technical support calls are nearly going away now, just with the state of AI now. A lot of people can ask Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT, how do I fix this problem? Even mechanics can ask ChatGPT, how do I diagnose this car? And it's not 100%, but it's pretty damn good. There's some videos online of some mechanics trying it to see, let's see if AI can fix this car for us. And one I watched, it fixed one, but the other one it was completely wrong about. It's only getting better, but still somebody has to turn the wrench. Somebody has to know what that part looks like, where it's located, and how to remove it. AI is not doing that for you. So AI is also not cooking the burgers and the fries, and you know what I mean? Like back in the day, you'd just take your drink up to the soda fountain and fill it with what you're not anymore. You tell the kiosk, the person in the back, somewhere back there, they've got all that stuff. And then you tell them which table number you're at. Like you'll grab the little table flag, they'll grab it and say what number's on there. You type in the number 50, whatever the number is. Go sit down and put that flag on your table. And somebody you've never seen before in your life appears with a tray of food and says, this is number 50, puts it down and walks away. Not is anything missing. They don't give you time to look to see if it's correct. They just walk away. It's McDonald's. It's not fine dining. It's pretty damn close to a prison cafeteria at this point. No security guards. People just do whatever the hell they want. It's crazy. Blade Runner McDonald's is what I call it. This is still running the disk cleanup, and if we come over here just to show you what's going on a brand new machine like this, there can be a lot of temp files and such, especially after the 25H2 install. And so this is it's working, and it's cleaning up all of this used hard drive space that doesn't need to be, in my opinion, used by all these temp files and Windows Update files that have already been installed. So let's get them out of there. Give me that space back is what I'm saying. So that's what that's doing, and that's all part of the optimizer. If you're interested in picking up the optimizer again, you can run it on as many computers as you want, as often as you want. It's all reversible. All the updates are free. There's no activation. There's no licensing We're on an honor system, and if the honor system won't work, we'll never make another one again. So it's up to the public to decide if they like that and they want to see it continue, then we need your support. We can't do all this for free. Somebody's got to pay the bills at the end of the day. Nick has, the developer of this, has hundreds of hours in development, plus all of the experience he has over the years to know what he's doing to begin with. He deserves to get paid. And this didn't start out to be a product to sell. This started out as a product I needed. And it turns out a lot of you said, hey, we want that too. And then this is what it evolved into. Now, this can always go back to being my own private product that I don't sell. I'll just pay Nick to develop it. It's a business expense. I use it in my business. But in a perfect world, people would pay for it. They won't copy it or share it because they don't want to cause us harm because we didn't do anything to you. And they want to see it continue to develop and evolve and be, look at how much more this utility does than Windows 10. This is, 5 times more stuff on here. And it's very inexpensive. It's not like you got to be rich to pay for it. There's no subscriptions. You buy it once, own it for life. This is why I'll never get rich, because there's just too many people that are going to say, well, not my problem, right? But we hope you're not one of them. And ultimately, the community decides whether this channel lives or die, whether these kind of projects will continue or just stop being developed. So while I am promising you free updates, if the updates stop because there's no money coming in, I don't expect Nick to work for free. So, but we've had really good luck with the Windows 10 optimizer, and here's hoping the Windows 11 optimizer gets better, not equal to, and not less than. Let's hope it builds on it and that people appreciate it. Because I don't think we're asking for much. I mean, if that's asking too much, then we're in the wrong line of work. All right, that's the way I see it. Nick Capri said, I got the optimizer, did what it said it would. It's a great product. Well, thank you for supporting us, Nick, and we appreciate your feedback. And always check that for updates, because Nick's been a wild man with the updates, and it's just even more feature rich than ever before. Bikeman says, speaking of older systems, both my Windows 10 older systems are enrolled in the extended security updates, but in Windows updates it shows your device is missing security updates or something like that. Yeah, I don't know without more information. But you're no stranger to the forums if you want to put the details of what the system is, the motherboard, the processor, and what specifically the error message says, maybe a screenshot. I'm sure that there's a fix for that. It's clearly not normal. Still running disk cleanup over here, so it is taking a while, as expected. Oh, and it cleans every drive. So because I've left my utilities flash drive plugged in, it's cleaning that too. But again, only of cached files and things. And because it's USB, it's a little slower than, say, the internal drive. It's a lot slower than the internal drive. And I was talking with Nick about whether we should just be cleaning the C drive or not. And at the end of the day, I left it up to him to decide. And I guess he's decided he wants to do them all. So that's fine. It's not hurting anything. It's just taking a little longer than I was thinking. And if I didn't leave the flash drive plugged in, it would have never been an issue. So that's one of those decisions. It's like, well, I see what he's saying and I can see what I'm saying. So I just delegated it out to whatever you decide, Nick, is fine. David Graham said, if you're using OneDrive and you're backing up the desktop, the second optimizer icon won't disappear until you turn off OneDrive. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm not surprised. It can be very frustrating to try and get something off of OneDrive. But it's good to know, and I'll mention it to Nick because, if anybody would know about solving that, it would be him. In fact, I would encourage you, when you purchase the optimizer, it came from an email address, right? A receipt. And if you respond to that, which is service@D7XTech, let Nick know. And then that way, if he has any questions or he wants you to test it, because I don't have a OneDrive account, I can't test it. If you're interested, I'm sure that Nick would appreciate it. I know I would. Patrick said he just updated his copy of the optimizer. Yeah, that just came out last night, I think. It's fresh. Mostly this latest update is about BitLocker and system restore status. I really wanted to see that. And I also wanted, I mean, before when you hit the driver backup button, it didn't appear to be doing anything when it was working. I'm like, I need something on the screen to tell me it's working. Did the button press not go through? I don't know what's happening. And then eventually it pops up and says driver update completed, but I didn't know it was working. So Nick addressed that. So those three things are the latest features. But again, after you update, it will offer, if you want to go to the website and see the changelog, that you can get all the other information with other changes that Nick made as well. But those were the big ones. Okay, so, and I guess this is a touch screen, is that? Yeah. I'm not a fan of touchscreens myself. The laptop does have a touchscreen on it, which I would never use, but that obviously costs more than a regular screen, and it's something to keep in mind when you're comparing prices for other laptops, that a touchscreen, whether or not you see value in it, it costs more to put those in. And of course, the price is reflected in that. So, all right, with that, I think we're just about out of time. I still wanted to run some tests on this, but I don't think we're going to have time. It's still running the disk cleanup, and the updates took a little longer. And I didn't expect to have to, take the back off and reseat it. I mean, I was going to take the back off anyway to look at it, but I was going to do that later. So things got moved into a different order because of that. And as a result, now we're just at about 3 hours on today's broadcast, and I think that's pretty much our fill. Whether or not we want to do another follow-up on this, you'll have to let me know in the comments below this video if you'd like to see the webcam tested, the drive speed tested, and the Cinebench tested. This isn't really designed for Cinebench. It'll run it as would in, you could have a computer from 20 years ago that'll run Cinebench. It's just how long is it going to take? I feel like we got the bulk of it out of the way. And I do feel like this is a really good value, especially just prior to the holiday. Looking at Nemo, looking at this particular HP, just from what I've experienced, if you're in the market and you're looking for a new laptop, this is a great place to start and consider. As we move forward into 2026, because of RAM and storage prices going up, NVIDIA also says they're going to cut GPU manufacturing for consumers in half, so they can sell that stuff to the AI companies at 4 times the value. Just common sense. So we expect to see a shortage on graphics cards coming up through 2026 as well. And right now, NVIDIA owns 92% of the market share of graphics cards in use by computers around the world. So that's a pretty massive cut. If they're going to cut free like that, then suddenly Intel's graphics cards aren't going to look so bad, and AMD's graphics cards aren't going to look so bad. So NVIDIA is shifting over more to the AI businesses because they can sell things for a lot more money, and they can sell as much of it as they can make for right now, including to themselves because they're developing their own AI. The result is, during 2026, as this build-out is occurring, there's going to be a supply and demand issue for RAM, storage, and GPUs. The result will be higher prices, and those prices will continue to rise as the parts supply continues to shrink and manufacturers can't keep up with it. Eventually, it'll be saturated. Eventually, they'll have enough. As I mentioned, some of these companies are going to go out of business or get sold to other companies because there's so many players in the AI space. It's a big race to get the first, and part of that is having all the equipment to do it. It's just like any other industry. It's just there's a crossover in this one that's affecting consumers. where normally that doesn't happen, but it's not entirely unheard of. As a result, there's nothing you or I can do about it. And I think that's the first thing, is just deal with it. Whether or not you like it is of no consequence. Accept it, plan accordingly. If you know you're in the market, my suggestion is buy right away. Or wait till 2027, make up your mind. Because if you say, well, I won't be ready till summer, you'll probably pay more for that computer in the summer of 2026 than you will pay in the next 10 years as we move on and things flip the other way. That's strictly advice for consumers. If you're a business, it's business as usual. It has no impact whatsoever because, again, for a business, it's not a big deal. All right. Any final questions? Crystal Dismart, yeah, we just don't have time to run it right now. It's still processing this cleanup here. This could run for another 10 or 15 minutes. Partially, it's my fault for leaving the flash drive in it, but I also don't know how much buildup there was, because after 25H2 plus what was on there from the factory, it's probably freeing up 40 or 50 gigs of drive space. But if you look up the specs on that Western Digital Blue, I'm sure we can, we're not looking at anything earth-shattering. I don't know what the model number was, but if I just type in Western Digital Blue 2 terabyte NVMe speed, assuming this is Gen 4, which I think it is, I'd have to go back, or I hold the laptop up to the camera. Hopefully we can read the model, and it will tell you what that model is capable of, and I'm sure that's what it runs at. So this says 4150 megabytes read. And if it's a newer, like the SN580 versus the SN5000 Western Digital Blue, there's 1,000 megabytes difference. It goes to 5150. The advantage of it running a little bit slower is it's cooler. So you don't have a heat sink on it. You don't have to worry about active heat management. It just doesn't get that hot. So most consumers can't see the difference over 600. So once you get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 13,000, most consumers and most end users can't tell any difference. Because now we're talking about diminishing returns. The faster we go, the less we can notice any real world difference, because it starts becoming milliseconds. So I'm not sure which model this is. Again, we'd have to go back to the video and look at the specific model. But if we Google that model, I'm sure whatever that model runs at is exactly what this is running at, which, it's always better to test. But since this is still running disk cleanup, that's the best answer I can at least give you. And I expect it to perform as advertised. Mortant said, I need one of those Intel Nooks. Didn't we send you an Intel Nook? Am I remembering it wrong? I swear we sent you an Intel Nook. Have I confused you with somebody else? Are you talking about this Intel Nook specifically? They still sell these. Just look up the Nook Extreme 12. It's available. eBay, Amazon. I mean, they don't make them anymore, but there's plenty available for sale. Thomas MacG says, I don't like fingerprints on my screen. So he's not a fan of touchscreen. Well, if you have a cell phone or you have a tablet, that's how you interact with it. And so touchscreens on laptops make sense to me if the screen folds over and it acts like a tablet. But this one doesn't do that. So I don't understand why it's a touchscreen any more than I understand why it's including a gaming mouse. But I also say it's not hurting anything. Like, don't touch it. It's easy. If you have a touchscreen, you don't have to use it. Asian guy said, my first and only laptop was a touchscreen. Yeah, some people like them. That's fine. But just because it comes with it doesn't mean you have to use it. You still have the touchpad, you still have a mouse, you still have a keyboard. Don't use it. John Paul Bacon says, I bought every utility that's out. You're talking about the Uncle Carey utilities? If so, thank you. Thank you very much. You know, we try and keep them really cheap, very inexpensive, and try and keep the highest quality. And, you know, if people weren't buying it, it wouldn't make any sense for us to release it. So we appreciate those who appreciate it. It means a lot to us, both Nick and myself, and Mara too. And we hope that you really feel like it's the steal of a bargain that I truly believe it is. I mean, we're practically giving it away. I know it sounds like a salesman, but seriously, if you knew the time and effort that went into that to sell it that cheap, the only way that makes any sense is we have to sell a lot of it. So we're working on it. Morton said, yeah, I sent him a Nook and it's still running great. He says the 200R is still running great as well. See, I make them too good. That's the problem. I need to build in that, what is it, built-in obsolescence? No, we don't do that here. I'm kidding. Thomas MacT says, I'm waiting till the new year to buy the optimizer. It should be out of beta by then. Agreed. Yeah, and I did say, you know, we're probably going to see a lot of updates right up until the first of the year as we keep improving it and polishing it. But it's really good right now. It's damn near finished. And there will be updates after the first, but just not this frequent. So yeah, good advice if you don't want to. I mean, no software is ever truly out of beta. I feel like it's pretty good right now, but who knows? We're only 2 weeks away from the new year. I don't know if Nick will have another update in the next 2 weeks, but he might. This is still, this cleanup is really taking a long time. So I'm not going to sit and wait for that. But that just gives you an idea of just how much, you want to talk about bloat. Here's another thing that just occurred to me. It's like people have these binoculars and they're only looking very closely at what's really far away when there's danger. There's like a bear right here. And they're oblivious, completely oblivious to the bear. They're like, I want you to understand the madness of the internet. This is what, if you see it the way I see it, there are people that are looking so far forward, they can't see what's next to them. And what they're looking for oftentimes is danger, or they're looking to avoid a scenario. And so they're looking forward. But while they're looking forward, the thing they're trying to avoid is right here, and they don't see it. So this fixation on bloatware completely ignores temp files. The fixation on heat, oh, what's my CPU temp? Oh no, completely ignores your power supply. Like there is I don't know any other word to say it, it's insanity. It's like we're choosing as a community online to focus the importance on one item. Like I really care about my heart, but you know, I don't know the state of my lungs. Like I'm pretty sure they're both equally important and deserve equal attention, but that's not what we're getting online in the equivalent of computers. There's other areas of the computers you should be concerned about, like blowing the dust and dirt out of it, not over what thermal compound you're using, or making sure your power supply filter isn't blocked instead of trying to put a fancier liquid cooler on. It's crazy what enthusiasts do and how they, in my opinion, poison the minds of other enthusiasts with information that is not fully disclosed. And it's just, you're getting a piece of something, but you're not getting the whole picture. So it's like you're so focused on this one detail way over there that you can't see all this obvious stuff right in front of you the whole time. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage people to stop that kind of thinking process and to be more critical in your thinking and realize your power supply has typically no heat measurement on it. That thing can be boiling hot, and you're sitting there thinking, my system runs great because I'm looking at my CPU temps, I'm looking at my frames per second, and you're completely ignoring what's about to be a fire. I don't know what you call that, but it's kind of crazy. Like, so if we don't talk about it, I guess it doesn't matter. Is that how the world works? Because I wasn't raised that way. When you hear somebody focused in very tightly on a particular subject, what I do is I wonder what they're not telling me. It's the first thing that goes through my mind. When they say, well, this thing is bad because of this, or we need to worry about this, what about everything it's connected to? And what role does that play in the chain of motherboard and RAM and CPU and cooler and case and power supply and operating system and drivers? Doesn't all of that need to have equal importance? Is any one of those things less important than the other? In my opinion, they are all of equal value, and they should all be looked after accordingly. Fixating on one particular item, I don't get it. I don't. It's just not how repair works. It's not how professional IT work works. And I don't know how even life could possibly work that way. So I'm just trying to mix it up a little bit. I'm trying to shake people and go, hey, turn your head and get some, awareness of everything else instead of this tunnel, vision binoculars of what's so far ahead when you're not looking at what's right in front of you. And when you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's been there the whole time. It's a learning lesson that you have to experience it. And then you'll realize, I see what Carey's saying now. And I'm just trying to be helpful. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I want you to be successful, and I want you to have a good, solidly running computer. And just isolating it to one thing or two things is, no, you have to do it all equally, or you're not doing it properly. You're doing a part of the job. You're not doing the whole job. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up on that. Doman 2000 said it's recompressing the Windows system libraries. It takes forever. If Nick compiled it to do that, that may be exactly what it's doing, and it's worth doing because it's going to pay back in performance and in available space. So my recommendation is and again, this doesn't run automatically. You have to click the disk cleanup button and voluntarily choose to do this. You could also run it by hand outside of the optimizer. It's not, Nick isn't doing anything with the app that Windows doesn't offer you through their own menus. So if this is the determination of the best optimization, I wouldn't fight it. I mean, that's the whole point of the optimizer. I know that plugging the USB stick into it wasn't helping matters, though. All right, that'll wrap it up. Thank you again for hanging out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a safe, happy weekend. And just a few days from now, holiday time, we have, let's see what's coming up. I think we're going to showcase that really high-end, the highest-end Nemo computer they've ever released. I think on Sunday. Monday, we're going to follow up the members-only video. You guys know, that are members, you know what's going on. We're going to continue that journey. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Well, Thursday's Christmas, so then that's Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe I do the Comet Pro KVM. I don't know yet. And then we have two more mini PCs from our friends over at Minis Forum. Two very different computers, two very different price points, two very different purposes. And I think we'll be taking a look at those after the holiday, after Christmas, maybe between Christmas and New Year. And then we have the NAS from Arico. I don't know if we're going to get to that before the New Year. I think that's everything we've got currently, and then we'll see what else comes in. But in the meantime, we are still going to be back Sunday. I'm not sure yet. I'm pretty sure it's the Nemo, but I'm just not positive yet. And if you're interested in that, be sure and join us. It's the regular start time, 1 p.m. Phoenix, which is 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. Open to the public. Everybody's welcome to join us, and we hope you'll join us again on Sunday. Thanks to Maralina, of course, for all the work she does in the background with our thumbnails and video description and notes. Remember the links for our friends at VIP-URCDKEys for Windows and genuine Windows and Office license keys with the 25% discount code is all in the video description. This laptop and how to attain one, if you're interested, from Amazon, we have a link for that. Looking at the Nemo laptops on sale, link for that. And of course, Mara's cookbooks, if you're interested in eating healthier, and especially if you're fighting blood sugar issues. The latest and greatest recipes using the latest and greatest ingredients. Check it out. It's not a big investment, and you can always email if you want to talk to us or talk to her about her recipes. Just use the channel email, which is right here on the screen. We love hearing from you guys, so if there's content you want to see, and if we can do it, no harm in asking. And yeah, I think that's it for the day. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all again very, very soon. And until next time. Oh, wait. I want to thank our contributors with those Amazon gift cards today. Mark Gaines, our friend Buster, Mr. B508, and Frankie B. Thank you guys so much. And all of our members, as always. Now, bye for now.